Hey folks, welcome to another space with me, Kalu Aja. Glad to have you guys here. We are here, of course, every Sunday, uh, 7 p.m. We're talking the economy, we're talking money, and of course, we're talking personal finance. This week, we're still talking money, but we're talking the money of soccer, football, business, right? Want to just do a bit detour and see what's going on in that sector in Nigeria. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What can we do better and all that? So that's what we're gonna do this Sunday. Again, guys, great visuals. Again, I've done on Twitter and again on YouTube. So if you want to follow, I've got lots of nice information there for you to sort of like follow in and sort of like get a sense of what we're trying to talk around today. I have a guest today. Once he comes in here, I will start because this is not my subject area. I want to make sure I want to get the experts to speak more on this subject area. Once he's in here, I'm going to just kick off and hand over to him. I have my questions, but I think he's going to be in a better position to those questions for us. His name is Porja. I'm just going to look out for him. Once he's here, he's going to request to speak, and then we'll add him, and then we'll just get the party started. How you guys doing? How was your week? What are you guys doing? What are you guys investing in? It was a great week. We had the largest IPO in the history of the world, the SpaceX IPO buy. Are you guys looking to buy? We'll have to do a space on that. Lots of information out there, not that correct. But I mean, my sense, before we just get Poja in here, my sense, of course, is that it's difficult to ignore it. Whether the offer is going to be good or bad, if you're investing in the US market, you're going to be buying SpaceX. It's just so large, right? So the ETFs, the pension funds, the 401ks, they're all going to buy. So irrespective of if you like it or you don't like it, I think you're going to be a shareholder in that stock. So that's what I'll say. But I think it's overall, I would say if you're a long-term investor, I kind of think it makes sense. I mean, it's difficult to bet against that guy, Elon, just for the premium that he has. It's difficult to bet against him. And I think the company is set up for the future. There are lots of things they're not saying. If they get right, for instance, data centers in space, it's going to change the whole thing. So I'm still waiting for Poja, right? I can start because it's all him. Let me just see if I can give him a DM. I want him to be here because we have some great questions for him. And if you guys on YouTube, just go on YouTube. I've taken my time to do a few visuals for you guys. Poja's in the United States, I believe. Let me see if it's here. Not yet. And I think it's one of the only Nigerians that we have over there. So yeah, we want to have his take. If he doesn't come, hey, we'll do it ourselves, right? We'll have you guys ask your questions and we'll speak. Let me see. Let's see if it's the guy. So yeah, that's my take on that offer. I mean, if you guys can buy now from Nigeria. I always say this when we started off investing. Poja is here. When we started off investing, we had no way to buy stocks abroad. But now you guys are all buying stocks abroad and all that. So I would say take your time and get it. That's how I would say it. Hey, Poja, I've sent you an invite. Once you accept, then we can get this party started, right? I'm going to copy. So I'm going to start to share the slides on Twitter. Yeah, Poja is here. Hey, Mr. Poja, how you doing? You're a busy man. How you doing, sir?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. P. How you doing? How's your date going so far?
Day is going well. I just left church, so I'm actually in the car going home, so I can still catch up and still contribute to the topic of discussion today.
Okay, wow. So that means you might not see my slides. I basically have a few, like 6 slides out. I just want to use that as a backdrop to ask you these questions, right? But let me start off real quick, right? So I don't know how long your commute is. Just introduce yourself. Many guys don't know who you are. Where are you? Just to get us into the frame? Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Sulaiman Adebayo. Most guys know me as Puja Media. So I'm a photojournalist based in Nigeria, and I'm actually in the US for the World Cup. So I got in last night. So this is my second World Cup. I covered the Qatar 2022. I've covered 6 AFCONs. So that makes it like 10 years. I've covered 6 AFCON. So you can call me an influencer too, because in the part of my work too, I influence for some brands. Brands pay for my services as well. So basically, I'm just in sports. Sometimes I can be in tech. Sometimes I can do crypto. But I major in sport because that's what fits me and fits my family. So, and of course, my Twitter page, my social media page is very obvious of what I do. Post and go for international tournaments.
Fantastic. But I mean, we brought you in here because you're like, you can give us a bit of a on-the-ground assessment of, we want to talk about football in Nigeria, we want to talk about the World Cup, we want to talk about even the local league and see what we're getting right, what we're getting wrong. So the first slide I have here, I'm not sure you can see it. The first slide I have, I'm sharing on YouTube and on Twitter. If you go on Twitter, you're going to see my slides. I'm sharing the slides. This is the FIFA World Cup 2026, the prize money breakdown. What every country is going to get from the champion, who is going to get about 50 million. So the winner of this tournament is going to get $50 million. But what is even important to me is that once you attend this World Cup, just once you attend, you're going to get about $12.5 million. $12.5 million, guys. That's $2.5 million to prepare for the World Cup. And then when you qualify, about 10 million. So whatever happens, even if you lose all 3 games, you're walking away from the United States with $12.5 million. That's not a small amount, Poja. Poja, what has Nigeria really lost? When we've seen the income we've lost, we've also lost the tourism. I mean, we're watching Morocco play Brazil. Most Americans are going to say, where's Morocco? They're going to Google it, see that they've got good tourism sites, and might go there and all that. Just a general goodwill, general branding, and then, of course, the money. What have we really lost? Just talk more about what Nigeria has lost by not attending 3 World Cups now. 3 World Cups. Poja, you've got the floor. Hello, Mr. P, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm not sure he can hear us. So, me guys, I'm not sure where Poja is driving. So let me just try to. Yeah, Poja, you're muted. Can you go ahead? I'm not hearing you. Poja, I can hear you if you can speak. I can hear you. So I'm just gonna add Kerry, I was asking Poja. Kerry, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Can you hear me? I've got Kerry and I've got Talk Soccer.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Kerry. So I mean, I think Poja is in transit, right? So just talking about what Nigeria is missing out this particular year alone, $12.5 million. That's what we're missing out by not being in the World Cup. This is just if we went and we left in the group stage, 12.5 million. Do you think, what's your take? This is 3 years in a row we've missed out. What's your take?
Basically, I think everything still boils down to the corruption in Nigeria.
Corruption.
That is what I feel, because if you want to back out players, you spoke about Morocco. If you want to, let's head like player for player who are better. Nigeria has one of the best squads in Africa.
Yeah.
Again, but it's
not about the individual players.
Okay, it's just like today now. I think when I woke up, I saw a lot of content. So people were saying came on to watch Morocco. But when we saw the beautiful football, the first 30 minutes of that game against Brazil, Morocco had the game. Like they played Brazil in that game. You get so, and you will not say Morocco, the players are way better than the Nigerian players. No, but I just think there's a system that is like, the talent is there in Nigeria, but the system is just failing everybody.
The system. Yeah.
Young guys who want to go into the sport business in Nigeria, in Africa.
Completely agree with you. Completely. I mean, I put the TV on and I was like, is Brazil wearing red? You know, like what's going on? The Brazilian guys didn't touch the ball and they were half field. You can see that Morocco has evolved from years of planning this thing. And you know what? The key thing about Morocco is that no player in that team was born in Morocco. No player in that Moroccan team was born in Morocco. What does that tell you? It tells us a deliberate effort to go out and find Moroccan players that were good, bring them into Morocco, into the team, and to integrate them into one unit. So it's not just the skill like you're talking about, it's the organization. There are more Nigerians in the world than Moroccans. And I think if we went out, look, the guy playing for the US is Nigerian. The one that scored the brace is Nigerian. In Switzerland, there are about 1 or 2 Nigerians in Switzerland. Almost every team has a Nigerian. Even in South Africa, I had an Okon there. But the organization to go and get this. Poja, are you back? Let's see if we can get you in here, Poja. Poja, can you hear me? Can you speak? I think I'm missing him. And I lost Kerry. Okay, let's get Talk Soccer. Talk Soccer, hop in here for me real quick. Talk Soccer.
Okay. So
Kerry, hang around. Yeah, Kerry. Yeah. I mean, it's a great point you're bringing. We're going to get to the NFF pretty soon in our presentation. Talk about the money they are getting, and if that money is being used appropriately. How can a nation, Nigeria, 200 million people, cannot go for the World Cup, but Cape Verde? How many people are in Cape Verde? There are more people in Ikeja than Cape Verde, and that Cape Verde is going for the World Cup. Come on. So you said corruption, organization. Completely agree with you.
Yeah, that's just basically the biggest issue.
Okay.
Like in almost every sector in Nigeria, because if you come to look at it, you can even check Morocco, for example. Now, the money that they made through sports tourism just last year, I think it was up to $1 billion or so. Yeah. I think I saw that I saw it last year. Like these are things that can help the sports system because I don't really see a big deal because I know the money that comes into the sports.
Yeah.
Like sports sector in government also allocates money. Let's take, for example, the last World Cup that we went for, that's in 2018. The last World Cup. If you go and browse the figures that was made from sales of jersey, if you browse the figure, and when I try to, I don't know if other people know about it too, but when I try to make more research about it, I noticed that Nike that is running Nigerian jersey or money that was given to Nigeria from the sales of those jerseys. You get, because if you see Nike partners with, let's say, Chelsea, 20% of the money they make from sales of jersey, Chelsea gets. So if you look at that deal, I did not see any agreement that Nike had with the NFF regarding 10%. And those type of figures, those type of money, I think it will still help in sport development in the country because like now, you see a child, I think there's also a scout that said something about how there's a lot of talent in Nigeria compared to Brazil. But it is that it's a system that is failing them. You see a small kid today now, he's playing football. If a scout comes and see that kid, maybe around 8 years old, he's playing football, they carry him outside, maybe to England, to Switzerland. It's time for him to choose which nation he should join. We'll definitely go for the other one because even the players, the NFF now, they're not even motivating playing for the Super Eagles. And that's it. Football is all about motivation. It's about
I tell you what, right? I'm not mentioning the factor is always going to be there, but I'm just talking about, go back to the point I make about Morocco. No player in that Moroccan team was born in Morocco, which means that someone had to go and find those players, convince the parents to come and play for Morocco, then get them to start to train together as a Moroccan national team, that they can play so well. It's not a one World Cup thing. This is a process where they are bringing in folks into their youth teams, integrating them. Is the system, the process, not just the money. That's what Nigeria, I think, is failing. The system around football, the infrastructure. We have the skills. Like you said, Osimhen is better than number 9. But what is the systems and the process surrounding Osimhen? Let's get Kenny. Let's get Talk Soccer in here. So we have Talk Soccer. I mean, you hear what I have lots of slides, but I'll just focus on this one. Talk Soccer. Nigeria is going to miss out about $12.5 million. 12. I mean, money. It's a money space. 12.5 million. Even if you share that money, 1 billion to all the states in Nigeria, it's going to go somewhere.
Seriously, when we talk about football worldwide now, football is kind of let me say
our crude oil.
You understand? It's like a crude oil business. You understand that whenever anything you put in, you understand, it will kind of generate a lot of revenue for you. And like the other guy was saying, like tourists bring a lot of people into your country, and it also bring a kind of business opportunities to your country. Look at when you as he's saying that is corruption. Like in Nigeria, in every sector, it's corruption that bringing us down. You understand that? How can you, as a nation that is more than 200 million people, that for how many tournaments now, like 3 consecutive World Cup tournament now,
we can go.
And Nigeria is not part of the countries that are going to the World Cup in Africa.
Crazy.
And it's unfortunate. Crazy. You understand? So now, if you look at what's it called, Senegal. Senegal, the government, they are taking the players along with anything that they are doing, like kind of pay them what they supposed to pay them, give them what they supposed to give them. And look at what happened at Nations Cup in Morocco. The Nigerian government, it's not that the money is not allocated to the NFF. The money was allocated to them. But to disburse this money to the players was a problem.
Mm.
And you cannot, you can't motivate players out of nothing that they should just go into the pitch and play when you are done. If you want something, if you win something, we promise you that. We promise. Things are not done that way. You understand? Try to kind of motivate them. They know that yes, if they do this, do that, at the end of the day, if they win something will come out of it. But you have to motivate them first. Try to show them love from the the money was allocated to you. You didn't give anything, and other business people were kind of promising. How are they sure that even if they do this money will get to them?
Okay, let me understand. I let you talk. Let me just bring this in again. I'm going to bring somebody else in here. So I also did the research on how much the NFF gets from FIFA, because when you go to the World Cup, you get the 12.5 million minimum this year, minimum. But the NFF give Nigeria $8 million every cycle. A cycle is 3 years. So in 2023, they gave Nigerian NFF $8 million. It's for 3 years. FIFA gives Nigeria $1.5 to $2 million every year. This is minus the prize money. So if we went to AFCON, we came third, we're going to get about 3.5 billion. Again, I'm sharing this on YouTube and also on Twitter. So we're getting 8 million. I don't know how many MDAs in Nigeria that are not maybe dealing with oil or dealing with maybe finance get $8 million. So if you divide, this is going to be about 2 million, about $2.5 million every year. FIFA gives Nigeria under the FIFA Forward program. Then they give us 1.5 billion every year development grant. Where's the money going? Where is the money going? Let me get Pocha, if you can, anytime you can speak, but just hop in anytime you can speak, right? I know when you're seeing transport. Once you can speak, but just go in and interrupt us and we'll get you in there. Let me get Ola. Ola, go for Ola.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, Ola, hi. Yeah. Ola, quoting figures here. Well, we've missed out on 12.5 million this year for just the World Cup. But FIFA has given Nigeria 8 million every 3 years plus $1.5 million every year. What's happening, Ola? Somebody says corruption. Yeah. Someone says there's no structure. What's your take?
Even before you started quoting the figures, what I've been running in my head is the fact that we don't have futuristic plans for the sport of football or for sport generally. We like the fire brigade approach. It's a year to the World Cup. We start looking for players that we feel might do good. Those players that are representing their teams. You see, we don't have any background work. We don't have any what's the word now? Any preparedness towards any competition whatsoever. We're always waiting for the last minute, and this has trickled down from how organizations are being run, especially the government parastatals in Nigeria. And this has trickled down to our teams. It's cut across all our Nigerian teams. So, irrespective of whatever money FIFA is giving, CAF is giving, or anybody is giving, there are no proper channels those monies are going into. They're just side money to personal pockets, personal projects, and the like. I can't tell you while I was growing up back in Nigeria, we were looking at academies that we saw had future, where coaches could go to pick the next big team. Sincerely, these days we have so many academies, but no structures for them. Academies these days are more like scams, if I can use that word. Parents don't even believe in academies.
What do you mean by scams? More direct, if you don't.
Yeah, if I say scams, it's like something you just put your money to and there'll be no results.
Interesting.
Back then, if you tell your parents that you're going to an academy, the burden on your parents will be probably to get you boots, make sure you get transport fee to get there every day. The coaches there there are programs you go through that there's a possibility you might get a team based on your talents. Structures are in place then. But these days, they'll be telling parents to bring money so that the kids can travel. And those kids, so many of them are stuck back in. There's nothing the government is doing regarding that. So those things trickle down and then make it impossible for growth to happen. That's what I feel. Because when the playground is not level or is not even accommodating for everybody to grow, it makes improvement impossible. So no matter the money FIFA is giving for grassroots development, we were on Twitter, was it not last year or early this year, that they were showing one of the stadiums that they said they did in one part of the country.
I remember
and
that.
And then somebody took his own time, went there to go and investigate, and we saw bushes there while they were saying they had. So many things like that. No, there's no accountability even for the money they are receiving.
Yeah, but again, Nigerians, I mean, come on. I mean, we've lost the 12.5 million, but FIFA is giving these guys 8 million every 3 years plus 1.2 million. This is dollars I'm quoting, no dollars. So every year they get $1 million, about $2 million. What's exchange rate today? Multiply 2 by about 1.4. How much is that in billion? That's what they get every year. This is from FIFA. They get money from the government. They got about 17 billion from the government in 2025. This year, they get about 2.31 billion from the same government. They got money, 3.5 billion from AFCON. There is money in this thing.
A lot of money.
It's not a lot, Olumide?
Yeah, it's not a lot because if you look at the context of how I know what you mean. I'm not saying it's not a lot of money in the sense of the value, but for these guys, it's not a lot because if you look at mismanagement, I happen to be in the sports business, and one of the reasons why even creating a successful sports business in Nigeria is impossible. There are 3 criteria. First of all, we have a weak intellectual enforcement. Nigerians love sports, but we don't have a strong legal, and sports every relies on legality. We don't have that. Secondly, you need to also look at the fact that you also need to look at disposable income. The US economy, for example, takes about 45% of the global. So if you have a sport business that just focuses on the US, for example, you are made. There's an economist article that spoke about the only thing working in the UK, the Premier League. And I take it back to what you were saying, Kalu. If you look at the way we've managed the sports sector, we've not allowed the best people at the ends of affair. Well, the only thing that really works in Nigeria, if you ask me, apart from our stock market, the banking industry, and lately the energy sector, the sports sector, it needs a lot of revolution. Look at people managing from sports, journalism, to the entrepreneurs, to the chains of command. It's not the best. And sorry to say, Kalu, you see, many people, we need to look at the schools also. How many people go to schools to learn sport, to sports science? You know, in the US, for example, sports science is a big deal, you know, and these guys work with Nike, Adidas. There's so much creation. So the value chain in Nigeria is very minimal.
So and well, where this gets important, we're talking about the business of soccer now. So business itself. So betting, sports betting is a business, and it's booming, and that's private. It's even booming more than the stock market, stock betting.
Yeah, but it's relative when you say it's booming more than so let me explain that part to you. So there's what I was looking at the figures in dollar terms. So see, a lot of Nigerians gamble far more than invest in the stock market, but in value terms, it's low. But you know, and I'll explain that to you. So if you look at the total amount Nigerians put on a bet, you can't wager it to the amount the guys in UK use per annum, because I'm looking at it in dollar terms. So the question is the population, not the value. So very few people control those places like Baba Jebu, Sport Bet, all those things. Very few people control, and it's more like a cabal thing. So the context also is that it has cannibalized other parts. In America, for example, you know, Nike, Adidas, there's Fantasy League, there's Draft League Kings, there are different sectors, there's merchandise, there's e-commerce. So disposable income is quite interesting, and the culture in US is that sports are well interwoven into schools. So football. So back home in Nigeria, for example, we don't really have that. You know, we don't have that structure. Before those days when we want to play ball, Principal Cup. I remember when I was young, Kalu, I'm sure you remember Principal Cup and things like that. You know, it was more interesting then. But now, I think the business side of sports, I think to me, it is going to take a transformation. Gamblers are promoted. The easiest point why gambling looks like the most attractive venture is because a lot of Nigerians are looking for an economic way to get even though the business model doesn't make sense.
All right, Oliver, Poja is here. I mean, that's a good point. You're talking about the value. It's the numbers, not the value. So we have 1 million Nigerians that are betting #1 million, but you have 2 Nigerians that are buying stocks of 20 billion. Fair point taken. Yeah. Let's get Poja in here. I know because he was in transit. We're going to get everyone to speak, guys. Poja, hi, how you doing? Can you speak now? Are you safely in a place where you can grab the mic and talk to us? Let me see. I'll give some time. Mr. P, we're waiting on you. Okay, while he's getting that fixed, let's go over to Nehemiah. Nehemiah, hi. We're talking about, I've got about 5 slides. We're going to talk about even the individual teams and if we have our structure. But Nehemiah, just on what's your take on the fact that the NFF, they don't have a money problem. They're getting money from FIFA, from the government, from everyone. But why can't the NFF fund football to qualify Nigeria in 3 cycles? That's 9 years. We haven't gone to the World Cup in 9 years. What's your take? Is it 9 years? 12? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kalu. I'm hoping that we can all hear me.
Yes.
Just so we don't take our time. Since we love numbers, I'm going to read out a few numbers. I'm reading from Intel Point, the statistics organization. And the 2026 budget, the NFF is set to receive 2.3 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, okay, so the NFF is set to receive 2.3 billion, a fraction of the 210 billion earmarked for the sports sector. Now, the National Sports Commission is taking the lion's share at 203 billion, but the Institute of Sports is taking 4 billion. Now, if you think about it from what I just described, the Sports Commission headquarters, which is an administrative building, they are spending like 90% of all of the monies that the Sports Commission is taking. And what is actually going to sport development, which is the Institute of Sports, is taking 4 billion for a whole year. Now, it tells us already what the priorities, and it's not the government that writes what they want, right? It's the commission that writes what it intends to spend money on for the year. So sometimes people want to blame the government in one way, but at the same time, you also have to look at the people that say this is what you want to spend money on, right? Do you want to spend money on youth development? Do you want to spend money on sport development? We complain about other countries that invest in their sports, but the budget numbers already tell me that they are not interested in investing in sports.
Which budget? Nigeria's budget?
Yes, I'm looking at the Nigeria.
But why is Nigeria funding sport? That's the question. Why is Nigeria funding sport? These guys can make billions. Does the Brazilian national team get funded by the government? I mean, they make money from FIFA. There's Glo, there's MTN, there's all these private guys that can go to and get money. You look at the teams now, they are private sponsorship on the national team jerseys now. So why are they getting money from the government?
Yeah, because there will still be some form of government involvement, e.g. in in youth development, for example, right? Yes, I agree with you about the part where we do get monies from outside, from different places. I don't know if anybody remembers when the FIFA, the former women coach, what's his name, Ralph something, raised a concern that Nigeria receives almost $1 million. Nigeria received almost $1 million in 2022 to prepare for the World Cup, and not a single dime. I don't know if anybody followed this news. Not a single. I wish there's this guy. His name is he's on X. His name is Big Bird. He talks a lot about the mismanagement of the NFF. I'm sure Pucha knows him as well, right? And they are always at loggerheads. I'm saying Big Bird and the NFF. And yeah, so this particular news came out where Ralph Wondrum, I don't know how to pronounce it, apologies. He mentioned that the NFF got $960,000 US. You can look it up, right? To plan for the FIFA Women World Cup, and not a single dime was spent. So he was asking Nigeria, where's the money? So yes, you're right. We do get monies from different places. FIFA gives us money. We get monies from, and there are opportunities that will always come. But at the end, we know, I hate to say, but we know in Nigeria that we have an accountability problem. Like you always say, we have a problem with accountability. And unless we really solve that problem of accountability, no matter how much more money we decide to put in, we may never really get the result out of it.
Okay. I hear you. Let's get Poja. Mr. P, I hope you can speak now.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. We've been going back and forth on this. The numbers speak for themselves. Lots of money is going to the NFF. They have lots of opportunities to also get funded to Nigerian football. But the one that they have, where has it gone to? And have they failed the nation? 3 World Cups were not there. What's your take, sir?
Well, good afternoon once again. I think the guys, because I was listening, the guys have said a lot about what is the problem of the NFF, the problem of Nigerian football, the problem of the football or the business side of Nigerian football. And I think, for me, I've been a strong advocate, but it comes to a time that it looks like there's nothing that can be done. We, on the other side, we know the solutions, but we have people in those spaces that are blockheads, selfish administrators, from the head to the top, from the head to the tail. Because I don't know why a country as Nigeria, which of course, because if you are doing business and you are administrator, if you put down the figures to even hand to just participate at the World Cup, you can sit up and do the right thing. How they are not sitting down to do the right thing when they see money on because if you go for the World Cup, you can even embezzle more. If you want to do corruption, you can even do corruption more.
There's more.
Because there's more money, but how they are not seeing how they can make more money even for themselves if they are selfish and do the right thing for Nigerians and for businesses. Let me just break it down in the name time. I was in 2022, and I must confess to you, even as a foot soldier, as a journalist, how much you can lose if Nigeria fail to qualify for major tournaments. And I always tell administrators, and I always tell the players, if you do well, in terms of qualifiers, major tournaments, even journalists will not care about you because there are a lot of money in that economy that can make any journalist to afloat. But unfortunately, we have people because for the word of me, look at what happened, during the playoffs, the World Cup qualifiers. For players going on strike because of money, when you have the big deal. And the funny thing is this: nobody will resign, nobody will lose their job. And the funny thing again is those guys that failed to qualify for the World Cup for this year are actually going to do re-election in September.
This September.
This September. Mm-hmm. There's no shame. There's no accountability. And once you now start talking about, and for a lot of me, big up to Simo BK. But for us in the system, it's very difficult for us to speak. I'm an independent guy, but as I'm independent, I'm still tied to the NFF because they can write to FIFA behind the scene and they can reject my accreditation, and that will grant my career. So when you speak a lot like that, and people say, Puja is not talking, Puja is a coward, I know what I'm dealing with internally. Nobody pay me in the NFF. Nobody give me a dime. But they can actually, choke you to the point that they can write FIFA indirectly from back end. Yeah. And you just see that you see a rejection. What is going on? Yeah. You've gone for tournaments, and that is why most of us don't really, because we'll be speaking and we're talking, but they will continue to withhold us. And when you now message me and say you want to do something like this, what I said, I'm going to be on the space because we need people like you outside the system that can actually, open this, because at the end of the day, the National Sports Commission too are actually doing their bit. But because of this, funny rule for FIFA that government cannot interfere in the NFF is making them to behave anyhow.
That's crazy.
Because government interference can make FIFA to ban Nigeria for like 10 years.
Okay, Poja, question for you, Poja. Are you saying that we cannot even audit how they spend their money as a nation? We can't.
So if you look at it very well, Simon Vike, came out, was on their neck. And the funny thing is the government, the government and the National Sports Commission cannot audit the books of the NFF.
That Nigerian players are playing in.
They cannot. Because if they interfere in that regard, they will be. That is why when you see those infrastructure, the Go projects that was done across the states, nobody can tell because FIFA themselves has okayed the facilities. So when the people that give you money have said they are satisfied, who are you to now say you want to probe? So the problem we have basically is a revolution. Revolution in terms of we don't mind if there's going to be a ban. There should be a sports minister that will probe, that will audit, and that will expose all these ills. So that when FIFA now comes like, okay, they want to ban us. We want to fix our house. When we fix our house, we'll come back to you and you now reinstate us.
This is crazy.
But there's no ministers. There's no minister that have done that. And of course, all of them are in the same shoes because the NFF, of course, the chairman of the National Sports Commission has been vying to be the NFF president. Okay. So there's no. So the politics of this football in Nigeria is crazy.
But let me also ask you, when you say they're going to vote in September, who is voting for them? Am I going to vote for them? Who votes for them?
You cannot, yeah. No, so according to sorry guys. So according to NFF statute, FA chairmen of states, and of course votes during an election, and of course we have other, of course we have the MPFL that votes, we have the NNL that votes, all the leagues bodies that votes. So at the end of the day, we I think they've expanded it to only 52 votes.
Okay, hold on. So the state FA chairman will vote.
Yeah, they'll vote.
How do the state FA chairman get elected?
So they get elected from their states. So they get elected from their own commission as well. So if I'm in Lagos State FA now, if I want to get elected now, I get elected by the clubs, the registered club, the affiliated registered club in that state. So if I have like 10 of it, I can be of course Lagos State FA chairman. So it's the association. So you have to be an association in the states to vote for FA chairman, and the FA chairman in turn now have that singular vote per state to vote for an FA president.
So question. So just off the top of my head, though. So if the president appoints, say, maybe a governor, maybe like Wike, and then Wike goes to all the state FAs and says, I want people to vote Poja in as the next FIFA whatever guy, then the state will then vote you, then you become the FIFA guy. We've not interfered with FIFA. I'm just saying, just hypothetically.
Okay. Yeah, so the game is very crazy. So now that we have a second term, of course, a president vying for the second term, Alhaji Gusau, he must have done his groundwork, because sometimes too, because you are in the states, and of course, if you are in the states, even if you are a state FA, you take orders from the governor. So they now play their games. So now they are playing games with the president of the country, which is Tinubu. So once Tinubu agreed to your second term, nobody can talk.
So in effect, Tinubu cannot probe them because he has agreed with them.
So Tinubu cannot probe because according to FIFA rule, even Tinubu cannot even probe. If Tinubu probe, that's why I said, like, I love what someone said, we need a revolution. So if Tinubu or the minister if they are ready to fix Nigerian football, there will be a presidential audit team that will break into the NFL files and start interfering. And once it starts interfering, it will send signal to FIFA. So FIFA will send signal to Nigeria and say, if the government fail to back out, they will ban us for 10 years. So because Nigerians will now start crying, and Nigerians, government have interfered, we are not enjoying football again, they will now back out.
But we've not gone to FIFA for more than 10 years now. We've not gone to FIFA World Cup for more than 10 years.
So the problem is, so now that if you want a revolution, we need a minister who doesn't care about the ban. We need a president who is going to break whatever is going on with NFF, go on that ban, probe them, convict people, take people to EFCC and fix that place.
Okay.
Because the politics that is going on in that place is very huge.
Just pause. Let's get a few guys to talk. There are lots of guys I want to speak to you, right? Let's get Jack. Jack, go ahead, Jack. We'll get Jack. We'll do AFC Mahid. Jack, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Kalu. Poja, good to be on the space. So I'm going to be speaking as an administrator because I could own a sports club called the Jele Sports Club. So first of all, maybe this might sound a bit weird, especially for my brother Poja. I mean, that makes his money out of this. But I am actually happy that Nigeria did not qualify for World Cup back to back because I feel like maybe at some point we need to do a proper reset. Nigerians are too quick. We're a nation where people just want to go to World Cup, go to tournaments, and compete and come back. But that's not. We can't develop. Sport cannot add anything to our GDP by mere going to tournaments.
But it does. We've gotten numbers here for you. 12 million tourism, goodwill.
Kalu, please just allow me to explain to you how the $12 million you're talking about. I mean, it's not anything to compare to the amount of money we can make if we actually develop sport in Nigeria, right? So I would rather Nigeria. I personally don't want us to go into even the next 2 World Cups, right? Maybe we can. No, so I'm going to give you an instance. You can't compare what countries like Morocco, for example, is gaining because of sport alone, because of the investment they have made and developed local sport. See, what Nigerians should be concerned about is how can sport transform the lives of an average person in Kaduna, in Kano, in villages? How do we begin to build, community sports centers and start properly developing sport? There are a lot of benefits to sport. It's not just about going to tournament, right? It's just 11 players or 50 people that will travel and go for this tournament and come back, and we are shouting, "Oh, we are a footballing nation." In what way is Nigeria currently a footballing nation? Your league is off the peg. Yeah, you're nowhere to be found in Africa. Your clubs are struggling. Right, no club in Nigeria at the moment can compete with any club anywhere in some of these Northern African. You're not talking of Egyptian clubs. You're not talking of when was the last time a Nigerian football club actually did well in any continental competition? Not Rivers United, not Enyimba can compete, not Remo Stars can compete, none of our teams. So the problem is that we have not scratched the surface. So you guys are looking at going to tournaments. And as a grassroots sports person, that I am, and as someone who understands the impact of sports in an as big as Nigeria, you cannot have 230 million people and you don't have a proper league. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense.
Okay, no, Jack, someone's going to say, is half bread not better than none? I mean, even if we go for the World Cup, we get new stars, we get small tourism, we get even the small money.
So we're just going to enjoy the moment, right? We're just going to enjoy the moment. And then people are going to clap, Osimhen has done well, blah, 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 and all of that. But my concern is, how does this add value at home? How does this give hope to a younger person? How does this pull young people out of poverty? How will that you develop your league? See, if we pump in half of the money we use in going for this competition into our leagues in this country, and then you're able to take young people out every single day. If you punch the numbers, right? The number of persons that can actually be properly employed if we have a viable league. I'm talking of the photographers, the content creators, the grass cutters, the people that clean the stadium and all of that. I have friends that all they do every weekend is just to go to Wembley and clean their stadium, and they get paid handsomely every weekend. Nigeria should start gravitating towards that, where we develop our league and actually have proper people. Let's have a league. If Poja has a league, I'm telling you, Poja will care less even about the so-called World Cup. I'm telling you this.
No,
if we have a league that we can have a lot more Pojas, right? But right now, you just have Poja, you have Oganla, and a few other, journalists, sports journalists in Nigeria. But if you have a league, you can have thousands of them, and they are all earning from the same league. So what Nigerians should actually be concerned about is, how do we get a proper league? The NNL, the NLOs, the NPFL, how do we increase? How can government, bail out our clubs, super big clubs that can compete anywhere in Africa? That should be our concern. If we develop our league, I can tell you, we will. Personally, I will care less about going to World Cup. Personally, I don't see anything.
Jack, your passion is clear. I think you speak for many people. I don't think what you're saying is wrong. I'm just pushing back to give you that side. Again, I hear you. And I hear the fact that, listen, let's punish ourselves so that can be changed. But these guys have not gone for World Cup in three cycles, and nobody has been punished. So I will not just punishing ourselves for nothing. The guys that, and I don't want you to answer, but the guys that we are punishing ourselves, we've not gone for 3 World Cups, and as Poja has said, they're going to be re-elected in September. And nothing will change. I hear you. Let's get AFC to Mahit to come in and speak. Poja, AFC, what's your hand is up? Go ahead. AFC, yeah. I mean, you hear the passion, and it's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's being passionate, like he said. If we have a private, why do we not go to Nigerian Airways and Nitel? Because we have a private sector alternative. If we had a private league that was functioning, we had players coming through the ranks, we are going to play players in UEFA and all that. Nobody will care about what NFF is doing, but we don't have that. And that's his point. So what's your take? I mean, you have your own point, but what's your take on the passionate comment by Jack?
Thank you very much to our host. Thank you to our listeners. So I think I mean, this opportunity to even speak alone, it's something that I've really been looking forward to, because I believe Nigeria, the country itself, we do not lack sporting talents. We're one of the most naturally gifted sporting nations in the world, because I mean, across football, athletics, basketball, I mean, just name it, we do have I mean, people that can take care of a lot of things. But Nigerian athletes, I mean, we continue to excel out there. I mean, I work here for. So I mean, I'll just like to take us back to 2021. I mean, I'm not going to mention names. When I had to reach out to the NFF, and I put together a proposal for a community first soccer proposal. I mean, something like what Jack just said now. I mean, there's a way we can. I mean, right in our communities, there's so many of us that we go out there to go and play five-a-side. I'm not currently in the country, but there's so many of us that even before we left the country, you go out there to go and play soccer, and you see people that you're like, come on, if this guy could just get a step out, if this guy could just get a scout, he's going to be one of the best out there. But I mean, just to hit the nail on the head, I want everybody listening right now to first of all know that, number one, the reason why we're so rich in talent, but we're so poor in the business side of sports, is that Nigeria as a country, we treat sports as an event rather than an industry. And that's one of our biggest challenge.
That's interesting. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
We treat it as an event, a one-time event, rather than a bit like interesting.
Yeah.
Say it again. Yeah. As an event, not as a.
Yeah. So we treat sports as an event rather than an industry.
Industry. All right, I've taken that down. I'm going to I'm going to use that. Yeah, take it down.
So I mean, so just imagine us investing, right? I mean, you have investors from different part of the world who would definitely want to be a part of whatever you're showcasing. I mean, I work for an organization here in California that all they do is just discover young talents. I currently work with kids within ages 12 through 18 until they become real professionals. But what do they have that we do not have in our country? Nothing. It's just that
they have the organization, they have the structure around, like you said. Like I made the point earlier that Morocco, no player in the Moroccan team was born in Morocco. So an administrator had to go out and get these people's names, track them, speak to the parents, bring them back into Morocco, train them, give them even passports to then play for Morocco. Exactly. So again, that's what I finished. But this is a good way for us to sort of to move on, guys. Let me do this. I'm going to let's move into the club side of it, because now we've talked national team, and like Jack has said, we don't have a local team. So guys, I'm sharing some pictures here.
I just want to quickly say something before I call it a day. So I mean, I just mentioned that number one of our major issues is the fact that we treat sport itself as an event rather than as an industry. But the biggest one for me is that we have that very weak institutional governance. And when I'm talking about institutional governance, you tell someone now to bring a proposal, and all that you would see is administrative instability, limited transparency, short-term planning. They'll tell you now that go and bring a proposal for you to be able to train youth in your community. People want to make fast money. They will bring a proposal that will be within 2 to 3 years instead of 20 to 30 years. Like, okay, even when you are saying, okay, you're tired of doing this, you can always say, okay, yes, I have already built a team that can continue. Even when you're aged and you feel like, okay, I'm not going to be able to continue this. But there's just a lot to discuss. I have a whole blog where I just talk about some of the things.
What's on the blog? What's on the blog?
I mean, I'll pin it on my on my page soon.
You should pin it here because people can see it.
Yeah.
All right, so FC, you should pin it here.
Thank you very much, Kalu, for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Poacher and the rest of you guys, Jack, I'm sharing a few slides here. I'm looking at the Arsenal. Arsenal FC won the EPL this year. I'm posting that commercial revenues, what they earn, broadcasting at £273 million. I mean, commercial, £263. Match day, £154 million. This is Arsenal. But people will say, Kalu, why are you talking about Arsenal? Arsenal's in the UK. Okay, let's talk about Africa. So I went to Al Ahly. Al Ahly is the richest team in Africa, I believe. Al Ahly made from just one tournament, the World Club tournament. They made, first of all, Al Ahly's budget. Poja, are you hearing this? It's a $170 million. This is not Egyptian dollars. Their budget for the 2025-2026 season, $170 million. A club in Egypt, right? How many Nigerian MBAs, forget the oil guys, have a budget of $170 million? And you can see where they make their money from. Commercial sponsorships, they have deals with Adidas and all that. So there's broadcasting, there's membership, there's commercial sponsorship. So we've done Arsenal, we've done Al Ahly. So it's possible. So let's go to the most successful Nigerian team. And I mean successful, that has won Continental. I know they might not make money, but again, we're doing Arsenal, Al Ahly, let's do Enyimba. Enyimba, $1.4 million, United States dollars. That's what they won for CAF prize money by playing in the Champions League in Africa. So if Enyimba had sort of kept its standards up and had just gone for the tournament, the Club World Cup tournament, they would have been getting the same money that Al Ahly is getting. This is in dollars, right? About 900,000 or so what just made from that tournament. So, Poja, let's bring it back home. Yes, we'll talk about the administrators and all that, but the local clubs in Nigeria, what are they doing, right? Are they, Jack has said there's no local league. Who is sponsoring the local league? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What's actually going on? I see a few pictures. There's a team in Ogun State or so that are doing very, very well. They have a good stadium. I see their fans and all that. You see some leagues, it's just crazy. I saw a league that was stabbing a guy. Poja, Jack, you guys are in the field. What's going on with the local league in Nigeria? Please.
Okay, quick one. I think, Kalu, I think what Jack said to say was what we need in this country. I think, for any country to boom, sport-wise, your domestic league must be booming, and that's the bedrock of any sporting whatsoever you want to do in Nigeria. Because if you look at the English football or the Three Lions, we talk about the Premier League because the Premier League is doing well. We talk about the La Liga, but our league is dead. It's dead in the sense that there's no title sponsor. Let me say, if you guys don't know, I'm one of the administrators at Ikorodu City. The MPFA club. We finished fourth. We're in the semi-final of the FA Cup, and I must confess to you that the league is dead. We are running a league of zero commercial value or zero value. I will tell you for a fact, no, except from the prize money, which is like 120 million, no other club from second to 20 gets anything from the MPFA board. So that shows what we are doing in Nigeria. We are doing nonsense. And when brands come into this MPFL, these administrators, they eat it up. Star Times sponsored the league for 2 years. They pumped, per season, close to 1.3 billion to the league. So in two seasons, they spent 2.6 billion. Carl, let me bust a bubble. They didn't make up to 100 million as a brand back from the MPFL. So as Star Times, I will tell you for a fact, they didn't even sell up to 100 decoders to show you how bad what the state of our football is in this country. And someone said something. You talk about Enyimba. Enyimba went for something that CAF quickly wanted to do, called Super League. And they gave Enyimba 1 billion naira. Guess I want billionaire, and guess what? Eyiba could not even lay it off at the Abbas government to lay it off when you collected 1 billion as a participation fee from CAF. Where is the 1?
Oh wow. Oh wow. Poja, if you're speaking, you are off. I don't know if it's just me, but I can't hear Poja. Limne, can you hear him? Jack, can you hear Poja? Can you guys hear me? I can't hear. Can anybody hear him? Let me do co-host before they'll kick me out of Twitter. Can you guys hear? Can anybody hear Poja? Oh, Nehemiah, you can hear him. Okay, I can hear him. Let's come. He was making this point about Enyimba and a billion. I didn't want to lose that point. Nehemiah, real quick, go ahead. What's in your mind? Let's see if he comes back in. Nehemiah. Hey, I'm so sorry, guys. I really can't hear you guys. I might have to drop off and come back in again. Hello. Hello. Couldn't hear, man. Couldn't hear. Gonna start a new one. Give away. I'm just gonna start a new one now. Let me see. Sorry about that, guys. I just couldn't hear anything, and I added Jack as a co-guy. Not sure what happened. Let's just start a new one. Let's just start a new one. Twitter. Okay, let's see. The business of Hey, looks like we got locked out, guys. I apologize on that. Oh, let's get Eliminates in here. Hey guys, sorry about that. Looks like we got locked out. So we're back. Let's get all this gentlemen. I apologize, guys. Apologize. That was Poja, guys, I lost you, man. You were talking about Enyimba and I lost you. When you're talking about $1 billion, I couldn't hear you. Apologies. Okay, everybody's back in. Everybody is back in that I can see. Where's Poja? Poja, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I do apologize.
No.
Yeah.
You are not in a box now.
Yeah. I got to put a co-host. So for next time. So who's a co-host guy? Poja, can I make you co-host?
Okay, you can go ahead.
All right, perfect. So let me just send that over. Olumide is back here. Olumide, yeah, sorry. Let me see. Let me make. So I've sent that to you. So next time, that means I'm just going to be there. Yeah, Jack. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, you guys. I just lost you guys. I sent a message to Jack that I couldn't hear. You should drop me off and add me again. I do apologize. YouTube guys were still there. They alerted me to the fact. So now we are back. Poja, can you? I'm not sure if can you go. You were speaking about Enyimba got $1 billion from CAF, and we're still asking the state government in Abia State to give them money to do a lay on their field. I mean, your point was larger. Your point was that local league is dead. We're not really making that money, and if we don't have a local league that is functional, we're not going to have this pipeline supplying Europe, and then of course also going to the World Cup. That's where you were, right?
Okay, so quick one. So let me just round off because I think the guys heard me. So let me just round off. So what I'm saying in essence is this. So I'll break it down in bits. So CAF gave Enyimba $1 billion for participating in the Super League. It was actually cancelled, but they got $1 billion record on paper. And there's nothing from it. It caused a big problem. Even till now, I know Governor Alex Otti is still probing. And imagine you got $1 billion and you cannot even fix anything in your stadium. That you have to be playing your CAF games at the Akwa Ibom Stadium, which is in Akwa Ibom. Away from that, we have a league that last year got $1.3 billion from StarTimes. A year before, got $1.3 billion from StarTimes. That was $2.6 billion. And I was confirmed on paper. StarTimes didn't even sell up to 100 decoders. They didn't even make up to 50 million back as profits. Guess what? They pulled out of sponsorship, and right now we have no sponsor of the league. So there's no game on TV.
No league sponsor.
Let me just break it down again. Finally. So last year the prize winner got 120 million. And from second to 20, got 10 million for the year. So this year, because there's no sponsor, they now increase it to 150 million. And from second to 20, got 0 naira. So like a Red Monsters that spent close to 1 billion naira to execute this season, got 0 naira from the MPFL board. Now imagine how this league can move forward. And this same NFF are the people that appointed the CEO and the chairman of the MPFL. So if this NFF board enters again, that means these same clueless administrators running our football will retain another 4 years at the affairs of the MPFL.
Yeah, but what can we do, Poja? I mean, you are the expert. What can I do? Tell me what I can do. Olumide is here, I'm here. What are the civilians in this sports page? What can we do? Tell us.
Can I help you a little bit? Let me just
go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, Poja. Thank you, Kalu, because I mean, I know a lot about sport and I'm also involved in the politics of it as well. So there was a time Poja was talking when he said that the FA chairman mostly are appointed by governors at the local level. They are appointed actually, right? Most of them, like Anambra State, for example, we don't have a commissioner of sports. So what we have is, Anambra State Football Federation. So you have an FA chairman that is appointed by the governor. Now, the only simple way, the way to fix Nigerian sport is simple, is leadership at the top, which is the president. Until we have a president that understands that has a clear understanding of sport administration, or somebody that is willing to listen to experts. Now, a lot of Nigerians don't understand that there's a difference between having. When Kalu Aja was appointed, I called it out and I said it was a wrong appointment. A lot of people came for me because they felt that, I hated the guy because of the fact that, he's that he was a former player, blah blah blah. And I'm like, look, there's difference between knowing how to play football and understanding football administration. They are two different things. And if you remember, those of you that are following my handle, you notice that when Amobi Ezako was appointed in Enugu State, I did mention that this is Peter Mbah's best appointment as a governor so far. And today, people can see clear evidence of where Rangers was 3 years ago and where it is today. That is because somebody that understands sport administration is at the helm of affairs. Somebody that is not playing politics with football in Enugu, that understand what needs to be done, that understand grassroots, participation in football, opening academies, building even the younger generation, inspiring them. Enugu State, if I tell you the amount of money that Rangers is getting in terms of allocation on a monthly basis, and you compare it to some other big teams like Rivers United, like Remo Stars and all, you will not believe the margin is wide.
Yeah.
But why is this, why is the other guy in Enugu getting results with what he's doing, and these other guys are not? It's just competition. They promised Rivers United players $30,000 each of the players to win the league. Amobi Ezako and his players got just about 100 million, for the players after they won the league. You see the difference? The difference is massive, right? One is about money. The other person is about competence, right? So it's not even about the money. It's about having competent people that understand this and also have the passion, the love for the country to actually drive the process. If somebody that understands the impact of sport, that understand that we can use sport to take over 5 million young people out of the streets in Nigeria. People are saying bandits. If you have viable clubs across board, where people can go to sports centers across Nigeria, and there's a participation side of sport. It's not even just about the competition. There is participatory sport, which is also healthy. Imagine a situation where you have a sports center where people can swim, where people managed by the locals and everything. We just need people that understand these things. And I didn't understand it 3-4 years ago until I met those that are grounded very well in sports administration. And that's why I formed the team and we floated the Ijele Sports Club. So the point I'm trying to make is simple. It has to start from leadership.
Yeah.
And these guys are there. They know them. If you come to the Nigerian sports, they know those that can take our administration to another level. They are few, but they are there. But the problem is that you need a president that is interested in sport to be able to appoint them.
So Jack and Poja and my listing for me, Poja is saying we can't talk to NFF, we can't touch NFF. And we are now saying that we need the president to be in charge. I laid out a scenario where I was asking Poja a few questions. What can we do and how can we go to the state's FAs and remove those state FA guys or put people that you want that will then vote in a guy that you know can run the place. That's what I think can happen. Unless you guys have a better opinion. If you can, Koja, if you tell me this is what you want me to tweet that will help Nigerian football, I will tweet it.
I said something, and I think I was very clear. I said, and that's what Jack actually said. I said, we need a president that is going to break the NFF. Break in the terms of. So what I'm saying is, so what had happened a few years ago is, once there's government interference, NFL will run to FIFA.
Yeah.
FIFA will now send a letter that they call it Decree 101. They will now say they will go to ban the country for 10 years because there's government interference. And because the government, of course, there will be so many people that will be pleading with the governor with the president that, see you, Nigerians will cry you, they're going to ban us. So you will now yield, and of course, the nonsense will continue. So what Jack is saying is, if you have a president that is well grounded with good advisors, he will go to the NFF and break it. Interfere in terms of appointing. It's just like what is going on with APC. You should look at all the governors trying to decamp to APC because there's someone that is actually interested in politics. So if the president is actually interested in sport, that's what will happen. All the FA chairman will conform because the president is speaking, and because the president is well grounded, it will pick a president, NFL president, that is good enough. That will not come and I will say, okay, fine, this is the guy I want. And all the FA chairman, we are 9, I will vote for that person. And that's where
maybe we should make Sheyi Tinubu NFF chairman. Someone like that.
So at that time, they will be banned. We'll be out of football.
People are laughing, but think about what I'm saying.
We don't care. Let them ban us. Let us fix our, because we are only talking about I didn't talk about the Super Eagles and the MPFL.
Yeah,
you know that
go ahead.
We don't have any cadet team that is functional in Nigeria right now.
Can I do something different? I think I have a different opinion. I understand Koja and Jack's view and their stakeholders in the industry, like the fact that they really want a transformation. But I think it's extreme. I think it's Dracula. I think it's really not.
I'm going to tweet it now.
So Kalu,
make Sheyi NFF. I'm going to tweet it now.
Kalu, I think that's an exaggeration. I think the solution, personally, if you ask me, I think one of the things I've noticed in Nigerian history is that Nigeria's culture is that the best way to transform or the best way to revolutionize an industry is to make it attractive. How do you make it attractive? If you remember the banking industry, Carl, you remember the banking, how it was almost every ticket that you could create a bank. And you remember how it was so dirty when running the banking system. Yeah. And now it is now the likes of Fola Adiola, Jimovia, and that even created the base for fintech. Now we have Money Point to switch, Now, was it that we had saints in our revolution? No, they were as corrupt as what we had in what Koja and Jack is complaining about. So how was the solution? There was a force where a certain generation, and that's why I said that that Jimovia generation, we might not really like them so much, but they transformed the banking industry. So that Jimovia, Fola Adiola, Elumelu, AIG, Harvard, look at what they've done in the capital market and the banking industry.
Peter side.
Exactly, Peter side, God bless you. Now, what we really need now is that the sport is a multi-billion-dollar business. In fact, if you look at the revenue that comes from the sport economy, it's $2.3 trillion. That's 2% of the world GDP. If you look at revenue for 2025, was about $530 billion. About half of that goes to the United States. Now, Nigeria is not even tapping 0.5 of that. So what's the problem? You see, if you look at, for me now, like I'm very into sport business, and one of the reasons why people are asking, but you're into finance, why are you going to sport? Because the finance space in Nigeria is crowded. And if you look at, it's like dog eating dog, because many things, like there are so many opportunities, like sports now, for example. You look at e-commerce.
What do you mean you're into sports? What does that mean? You have a sports team or what?
No, sport. So I created a sport platform like League Bookers, but where, for example, where I'm looking at e-commerce aspects where you can connect the West with Africa and the other parts of the world. I saw a problem that gambling has cannibalized sports, and I felt like I could disrupt that space. And the fact that I've had exposure in America and the Western world, I understood that, okay, I have to come in from an high ground of trademarks, unique products. So what we're really doing, for example, is that we created a platform where you could buy tickets. If you're in the United States, you're in Europe, you could buy tickets for the World Cup, for Champions League. And also, you could also get interactive social platforms where you could buy jerseys, like authentic jerseys, because we realized that in many parts of the world, getting jerseys, it's not really as available as we. So we're looking at that business model. So, Kalu, for me personally, I think there's a future in Nigeria. And I'm sorry to say, our business model doesn't fit into Nigeria, because how many Nigerians can spend £60 to buy a jersey or $85 to $100 to buy a? Look at the World Cup ticket. So it boils down to being creative. I think when we start attracting the best brains in Nigeria into sports, for example, I think we should be the president. The president didn't change the banking industry. Okay. I don't think the president changed the banking industry.
But only they did.
Let me just cut here. You know, you when you talk about the banking industry, see, it's totally different from sports. Let me give you an example. See Mobike is there as well. When you have a big organization like FIFA that is corrupt as well, you see a Go project that you spent over $1 million to build, and you know there's agitation even from the government, from the National Sports Commission, there's even from the citizen of the country, and the whole FIFA body comes out to say we are satisfied with it. What will you do? There's nothing you can do. So for us to get this thing properly done, we need to break the people at the administrative level, because these people have been running football in Nigeria for the past 30 years. And now, like I said, and now they are going for another election. And the election is not a banking system election. It's not a system. It's not a system that is open to help you. Because it's not a system that is open.
Let me even help you. So there is something Olumide said that I disagree with totally, and which is when he said that it wasn't the government that fixed the banking system. My brother, it was the Central Bank of Nigeria that drove the reforms that reformed all our and made them giants, right?
Hold
on. So the issue is that you need to understand. I think only Poja, because Poja is directly involved in running a football club. So you understand what I'm saying. And I can tell you that it's only those that are involved in running sports clubs in Nigeria that they actually will understand the depth of the rush. And we know that the only way to fix it is at the top. It's not about bringing in players. There are a lot of players outside that have money that want to come into the system, but they cannot come with the current. They can't come in with these current players.
Let me say this, and I'll give you the floor. Let me just say this. Okay. So we are talking about making it attractive. I think the MPFL is attractive enough because you have someone that is a billionaire, Honorable Sholame, that has built a big empire. He has the best facility in Nigeria at Ikene. And this particular guy, of course, have been open to so many, has opened the eyes of so many private individuals to come on board and buy clubs, do this kind of facility. I think he's the one that, of course, influenced our own owner, which of course is Doughty. Influence Sporting Lagos, influence Inter Lagos. But guess what? The system ruined him and is now relegated. Won the league last year and got relegated this year. And he's saying, as a billionaire, he's saying he's going to disband the club. So what does that inform you? A billionaire in a league saying he's going to end his football club. He's not going to attract any private individuals.
What of Abiola Babes? Abiola Babes. Still Abiola Babes issue till today?
Yes, but let me finish what I'm trying to say so that I'm not saying that your solutions are not well noted, but I think it's extreme. Let's be honest. There's a reason why you can't interfere in football association. There's a reason why people meet like that. And we have to be honest that even places like from China to the United Kingdom, how they make it work and what is different. I'm not saying that corruption is not institutionalized. Nobody's arguing about that. But I'm saying that, Jack spoke about reforms, but before reforms, there are certain people that brought out ideas that created the avenue and they tapped on reforms. If you look at the story of GTRZ, for example, it wasn't before the reforms came in that they brought in certain innovation. What I'm saying now is that, for you to be very great, for you to break a space or gatekeepers, you must come from a place of higher grounds. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that because the truth of the matter is that the president does not have the political power to break into FIFA and the balance for 10 years.
Okay.
I think Nigerians will not cry. Nigerians will cry 10 years, and you think the president wants that? The president has a lot of things he's facing. He's facing security, he's facing food inflation, he's facing weak disposable income from the middle class.
All right,
so
guys.
what me I'm saying personally is that I think we need to find a solution that will be winning for everyone.
Okay.
Because what Podia and Jack is saying is that we are saying that we should go extreme. If we're going extreme, we also have to look at the political and economic costs in the long term. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Let's get a few guys to also hop in and hit up. Let's get Polonium. Polo M77. Let's have you first. Then we'll just go to Egbon. Polo, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hi,
thank you very much, Kalu.
Yeah.
Thank you for the conversation. Pooja, I just wanted to just say commend you for your activities in the sporting world and how you present Nigeria. My brother Jack, good to see you. I unfortunately wanted to go into the problems we have in the country regarding sports and everything, but that's already clear. We all know the problems. I mean, basically, we are faced with. When I requested the mic was when Pooja particularly mentioned the president. Out of particular interest, I have some reservations about that, and I'm going to point that out in a minute. But I just rather feel that if the state governors, if we had state executives who were investment minded, they would have rather done a lot more for our sports, than I would have expected the presidency in the federal federal Aso Rock to do. So I want to ask Pooja, my question is directly to him. What particularly is the role of the Federal Minister of Sports? And if you were in that position today, what would you do to solve the problem that we're having in the country regarding our sports? Mr. Kalu, thank you for your space always. Pooja, if you would indulge me, that's my submission. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Pooja, people are commenting about this, your statement that Nigeria has a league of no commercial value. Jesus, man. I mean, it's true. That the problem with that quote is that it's true. How can a nation of 200 million people that has those seamen, has all this, that has produced so many, JJ or Kocha, he just got an award this World Cup, has a league of no commercial value? Okay, yeah, Sean, please go ahead for Pooja Thomas. Go ahead. I can't pronounce your name.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, Samuel Abad is name. Thank you very much.
Real quick.
I really appreciate this program, and I also commend Pooja. We are seeing your good work. The Lord continues to lift you up.
Amen.
And we pray that many of you, God will lift us up on. And people, like you guys were saying, to me, the solution to Nigerian sports, I feel like the last speaker said, we don't have leaders who are business oriented. We only have leaders who are highly corrupted. Look at Nigeria's elections. Look at Nigeria's those in power. That has been the major problem we are having in the country. For example, if you have governors, president who is willing to solve the corruption issue in Nigeria, every other thing will follow suit one after the other. Okay, take for example, look at this man, the former NFF president, who's now the deputy teams competitions in FIFA. You went to the TV, you said you have done a documentary on Johanna. How does Johanna's success come from him? I don't get that. You went to, I think it was on Arise, I want to believe. You were saying that it pains you that Nigeria don't go for the World Cup. This is two consecutive World Cup, and Nigeria will win the next World Cup and the next Nations Cup, and then we'll qualify. How is that? How you do it? What have you done to the NFF board Part of the problem created by you is what is causing the problem we're having till now. Players come from abroad to come and play for Nigeria. You can't even give them a befitting hotel. When to talk about developing the league, if you cannot do that, there's no way the league can develop. So for me, like Poja said, we need to break into that glass house. For you to break into that glass will be difficult because we have leaders who are not ready to solve the Nigerians' political and Nigerians' corruption issue. That is the bane of contention. There is no, I doubt it is possible for anybody to say they want to break into that glass house. Because this Busai himself, how can you not go to the World Cup? How can Nigeria not qualify to push the World Cup? And there is nothing the national body is doing about it. All of them, I believe they have committee on sport in the House of in the Nigerian National Assembly. What have they done? All of them are highly corrupted. Money are being awarded. People are going out with money.
All right.
This is the problem we have. If you see that, like people are saying, they are not so. Sport is one of the ways whereby we can develop Nigeria. We can bring people in. You can through sport, you develop Nigeria to the highest level. We have different talents in every area of sport. Just imagine the former Nigerian basketball coach just won the league with the league in America
with the Knicks.
That's to tell you that we have these people who can do the job for us, but there is no environment to get the job done. So this start from the fact that we need to have a proper leaders on board who are ready to stop corruption in Nigeria. If it's not, if the corruption, for example, for example, you're talking about Abia State, they are still looking into it all this while. If you don't have it, for example, if you have a governor who is not interested, who is bent on spending money and not developing the state, how can you make a committee that will look into that? Thank you so much.
Yeah, the comments are well taken. But let me just, let me go around the block again as well. Let's do Egbon. Let's do Egbon. We've got Egbon, and then we'll come to Kish Money. I can hear you, sir. Please go ahead. We'll do Egbon, then we'll go to Kish Money. Go ahead.
God bless you for opening this space. Puja, we've seen your work. Continue to do the good things. Continue to represent Nigeria. First of all, for me, I studied sports in Cardiff Met. I was a coach in Nigeria before I left in 2024. And my dream was to teach students basketball to play in the NBA. We had a very big dream, But I first realized something that the food required. My players were very tiny. They were struggling to pay school fees. I first couldn't fit them. So when we went for competitions, we always lost because the schools we were playing against were those from like Grange, people like Dorego. So we were always losing. So at the time, I knew that, guys, sports is expensive. And unfortunately for Nigeria, the only reason why it is not working is because politicians cannot profit from it. That's it. And it is because it is a long-term investment with very, very, exponential gains. But it is long-term. You cannot see the billionaire Puja mentioned, who I've been watching him. He's been trying his best. But it's expensive. It's very, very expensive. And I did a research. I wrote an article on the profitable places in sports. As the owner, you can earn. As a player, as an athlete, you can earn on any sport. There are over 200 sports. I should just let you guys know. So if you're having these routes in NFL that everybody is asking, what's happening in wrestling, what's happening in other sports, what's happening in basketball.
Yeah.
So you can profit as the owner, you can profit as an athlete, you can profit as a coach, you can profit as a referee, you can profit as a psychologist, all in sports. And you cannot profit as a fan. So in all these careers I've mentioned, which one do we have most in Nigeria? Many Nigerians are fans. That's why I see many Nigerians now, they are using their behaviors to be arguing with Messi and Ronaldo. And that is not where the money is. The money is being a participant. Even as a journalist, you can make money. But unfortunately, we have a system that is so corrupt that because the politicians cannot gain from it. And I'll give you a real-life case study. Anthony Joshua came to Nigeria. He has come to Nigeria twice. Before you can get Anthony Joshua to even come to your show, go and ask Saudi, they pay over $1 million. Then just to come to a show, not even to fight. Anthony Joshua came to Nigeria like twice. the government were the ones just shaking hands with him. He was going to see the governor, going to see everybody. He went to Ghana immediately after leaving Nigeria. Do you know what the president's son did? He organized an exhibition match. They would have made money that day. Kalu is so bad. He's so bad. There's no referee from Nigeria that went to AFCON. Zero referee. But guess who were complaining about the referees the most? These are real life stories I'm telling you.
What hit me was when you talked about the food that they eat. You know, a friend of mine, his son just started to play in the NFL. And I knew this boy when he was born, when he grew up in America. He got to the high school. He went to Ohio State. Now he's in the NFL. He plays in the Buccaneers. And the day the father showed me where the boy stays in Ohio State, they have a cook per athlete. They cook for your body, the gym and everything, you know, to build them and all that. Like I say, it's not cheap. Sport is not cheap. It's a business. That's what we're talking about, the business side. We can't look at sport. I think it was MQ Abiola that said there's the business, or it can't be a development activity. I remember Abiola Babes, and we had a billionaire back then doing Abiola Babes. Where's Abiola Babes today? Enyimba came when they had the government. Where's Enyimba today and all that? So the problem again, like we're all identifying, is that there's just no handoff. Somebody good comes, the sports does well. Somebody good goes away, the sports dies. Like you said, what's happening to tennis? What's happening to badminton? Where is grasshoppers? Where is if we enter athletics today, we won't come out of it. We used to have mobile track and field. We used to have Innocent Ebunike. You know, I studied the athletics before. Do you know that when I did that study, only West Africans, there was only one guy that was not West African. That was the Frankie Fredericks from Namibia. Only West Africans had broken the 10-second speed in 100 meters. Only West Africans. All the guys in Jamaica, where you can trace them all back to West Africa, because a particular gene that West Africans have that allowed the muscles to get oxygen and run. This is scientific. Only West Africans. If you look at how Jamaicans that have won it, their parents are either West African or they are West African. Only Frankie Fredericks. Now you have a Chinese guy that won 110-meter hurdles. So China, from nowhere, they won the relay medals as well. Relay, you run fast, you hand over. How has China done this? They've just done the team effort. They put money in. So with money, you can beat genes. Nigeria has got the genes. If you do it based on genes, only West Africans can run 100 meters and win. Only go and start, look at the history. Look at all the guys in Canada, the guys in the US, they are all linked to West Africa. But now China is there. So if you don't have the money and the organization, skill will take you nowhere. Egmont, thanks for your what you are doing. I hear you completely. Let's get Kish Money. Kish Money, then we'll do Ben. Kish Money, then Ben. Look.
Yeah, hello guys. A very good evening to everyone. Poja, what's up, bro? You good?
Thanks, Poja, again. Yeah.
Kalu. Poja mentioned earlier that one of the key problems we face in African football is corruption, and that is for sure. Actually, I am a Sierra Leonean. I'm based in the city in Freetown, and I have invested so much in football for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
But it's because I've been working with the wrong people. I ain't see any positive, no good results. So it's got stuck from where I started up to now. So no improvement, nothing like that. So I don't see like that's gonna be different with Nigeria, because everywhere in Africa, everywhere you go, you see a lot of corruption everywhere. Point about it, I'm thinking of sending you a DM to see how very best we can work together trying to create an academy over here, maybe here in Sierra, maybe in Nigeria, because we've got a lot of talented boys here that know how to play football very well. I've got a lot of investors that stays in the UK, in Canada, also in the US, okay? So I'll be sending you a DM, Poja, okay? So just like how I was saying, the key problem here in Africa is corruption. And I saw a video, I think, was it earlier this year, or maybe I think it was by the end of last year, that I think with Daniel's husband, ex-husband, I don't actually know his name, Like he was trying to create a mini stadium. I think he got sponsored by the government and all that. But what I saw from the videos and pictures that I saw online on Facebook from his page, that Petro Stadium is not up to the kind of standard that some European countries are using, all of them. But just to run it up all, it is corruption. If we can't fix and tackle corruption as a whole, okay, like what is Very Dark Man is doing, trying to get people out to go and protest and all that, to stop corruption and free the kids that have been kidnapped. I'm following everything about what is going on in Nigeria. I still over in Sierra Leone, but I'm following everything about Nigeria. Okay, so we need to stand firm as well and try to tackle this thing. If we don't try to stop corruption in Africa, trust me, this thing gonna continue to happen years after years. That's all I gotta say.
All right,
thank you.
Poja, please go ahead, Poja.
Okay, so Coco, let me just respond to the guy that talk about how, what the chairman of the Nigerian Sports Commission is doing. And I think what he's doing is very crazy because, prepare the document, regime, prepare the document on, converting the Ministry of Sports to National Sports Commission.
Uh-huh.
And when Tinubu got into power, he got a wink of the book, of the document, and he said, okay, fine. Who are the people that did this document in terms of, turning, and of course, remember during his own time in Lagos State, there was no Ministry of, Ministry of Sports. It was Sports Commission, and that's what we are still using in Lagos State. So he now said, call the guys that prepared this document and let them come on board. And that was when, he brought on, Alhaji Diko, and of course the DG Olopade, and they now broke down the Ministry of Sports. They now started the National Sports Commission. And funny enough, it's very difficult for them to deal with NFF. That is why there's a little progress when it comes to, the other sports. Because the National Sports Commission is not about football, it's about all sports. And when they got to power, funny enough, we have faction in wrestling, we have faction in basketball, we have faction in tennis. All other sports were grounded to a halt. To the point that MBBF and the governing body of basketball had to ban the MBBF of Nigeria. Athletics was in shambles. So it's a very difficult job to do because, like someone said, we have over 200 sports under the National Sports Commission. So every Nigerian is talking about the Super Eagles, talking about football. Football is just one out of the 200 sports under the National Sports Commission. That is why what they are doing now for other sports is what they call grant. Now we have an athlete that is getting grants per month. We have other, and there's still a lot of, because of this corruption, there's still a lot of problem in other sports. Rugby, there's problem in rugby, there's a problem in basketball, there's a problem in tennis, there's a problem in wrestling. Wrestling that gives us most of the biggest, medals across the board. Para wrestling, there's problem. So it's tough for him. And the reason why I'm mentioning the president is during the Buhari regime, when Pinnick wanted to enter as NFL president, he took a wing of some big advisors around Buhari, and they actually had to, maybe hold the hands of the FA chairman to vote for Pinnick, and everybody thought Pinnick was the holy grail. Because he was Delta State FA, he was turning up sponsorship, he was doing so well at Delta State FA. And everyone thought that, okay, this guy is not the normal guy. Let him come into power. And he spent 8 years, and it was nonsense. It was one of the best regimes. Because let me just round up with this. There's somewhere that is called Mohammed VI in Morocco. I've been to Morocco like more than 30 times. And Morocco called us for a tour for that facility. That facility can hold the national team at a goal. The under 17 can be there, the under 23 can be there, the under 20 can be there, the senior national team can be there from the male and the female category. So they can accommodate over 200 athletes because they have over 7 world standard stadium. Guess what? When they wanted to start that project, I think in 2021, the NFF chairman, which of course was Pinnick, the NFF vice president, which was now the National Sports Commission chairman, Shehu Diko, went to Morocco to collect the prototype of that facility and came back to Nigeria and spent 8 years and did nothing. And when they collected that prototype, guess what? Morocco have not even laid a foundation. And they built that facility in 6 years with FIFA money, government money, and sponsorship. And after 8 years, now it's going to 12 years. We don't have a facility that can host at least a professional football in Nigeria, except from a state-owned stadium, which is Akwa Ibom. So the problem is corruption, because the money that Morocco collected from FIFA was the same thing this guy collected from FIFA in 2021. Morocco built something that is world class, and Nigeria built zero from the money.
Now, I don't know where to still start from, Poja. We don't have a local league. International is not working. Admin guys are not working. I don't know where to even start from. Speaking. Let me get Lukman. Lukman, hop in here. We'll do Lukman, then we'll do Obong. Oh, Ben, I have Ben here. Sorry about that. Let's do Lukman, Ben, and then we'll do Obong C. Lukman, go ahead. You've got the floor.
Yeah, good everyone. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I want to also say a big shout out to Puja for what he's doing. Don't mind Logistars. I know you are playing, so forget about him with all he's doing on the timeline. So actually, I didn't want to even to talk, but I think Egbon spoke, and then he caught my attention when he spoke about being a participant or a stakeholder in the sport world. Like just being a fan earns you nothing. So you have to participate. And then he spoke about so many things. And when he just said referee, that was when my whole mood changed, because I'm a football fan, I'm a football lover. I play football, I coach, I referee, anything about football I do. In terms of the sport I'm best at, I would say pool, which is a snooker. I know I can't play at the professional level. It's also a sport. Even if you go at the international level, they have series of leagues and competitions they organize. I'll still need maybe coaching and all of that before I can play at that level. But in a place like Nigeria, it's only football. And even when you come to football, you look at the young talents you have. There's so much, I don't know if it's this dichotomy or is it corruption. I don't really know what to point to see this is the problem our sport have in general. But even the football, how many players do we produce that go to overseas or play abroad? Then coming back to even our local competition, say the Nigerian league, there should be an avenue where the league is so advanced that not all the players want to even go abroad, because the one they have, the domestically they have within, is flourishing and is a way to go. So they don't have to be eyeing the pounds paying leagues or the dollar paying leagues. So, but all those problems are just there. Now, one of the reasons why I gave up my dream on being a referee actually was I just saw that there was no future in it. In fact, there was a time I was so passionate about it, I started thinking of maybe Java to go to maybe all these European countries or even Arabian countries and nationalize or something like that, and find a way and get myself into the refereeing association in those countries. But along the line, I just gave up. But I was very, very passionate about it, good at it. One of the things I just realized was I could not even remember when last Nigerian referees were invited to come over to officiate just even the AFCON or even this CAF Champions League that is played year in, year out. that's like the biggest stage for referees around Africa. So AFCON, CAF Champions League, CAF Confederation League. It's only, I think, was it early this year? I learned that about, 20 to 30 of Nigerian referees were now offered a FIFA badge. Without that FIFA badge, there is no way you participate in anything FIFA organizes as far as competitions are concerned. Be it on the 17, be it on the 20, be it on the
question,
the AFCON.
Question for you, Lukman. How do you get the FIFA badge? Do you have to referee FIFA tournament? How do you get a FIFA badge? Just quick answer. Quick answer.
It's kind of it's a process actually. There are different seminars, different avenues. Just like the way they do the normal scouting of players. It's also something like that. You just have to go through different phases and stages before.
So if your league is SHIT, can you get a FIFA badge?
No.
You cannot. How does Somalian guy get a FIFA badge? That Somalian guy that's trending. How does he get a FIFA badge?
In fact, when I was asking myself that I don't even come across Somalian leagues anywhere, either on the score apps or whatever, but I don't know how he did it. Well, I can't see.
All right.
I don't just.
All right, look, man. Thanks. Let's do Ben. We'll do Ben, and we'll come to Obong. Ben, how you doing? Ben, look, man. Thanks so much for contribution. Ben, go ahead. Ben, are you there?
All right. Thank you, Kalu.
You're very welcome. Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yes. Very, very important conversation that we are having this evening. I think that we don't have conversations like this enough. I think that the sports ecosystem, they need to come together. Even some of us that are not focusing on sports, we need to start looking at it. We need to come together, and have a narrative that we would push for progress, to ensure that the sports ecosystem in Nigeria begins to yield very, very good fruits. Young people in Nigeria, I think a lot of people have pointed this out. If you're looking at how to create jobs, one of the fastest ways to create a lot of jobs that would be sustainable, that would be satisfactory, because sports is one industry that a lot of people would love to work in, even if they are not being paid like very high salaries. As far as the money is enough for them to live and they have, a reasonable life, they are fine with it. So it's a key sector that the government needs to look into, or Nigerians need to look into, to ensure that, we are able to create a very, very profitable ecosystem, because the value proposition is too large. The value proposition is too large. We have a lot of people here. We have eyes. We have people who love various sports. Football is big in Nigeria, but a lot of people don't also know that basketball is very, very big in Nigeria. There are a lot of small businesses, a lot of smaller businesses that I know. There's this business that is trending now across the 3 key cities, Port Harcourt, Lagos, and Abuja. You just set up it's sort of like a bar, but you have where people can play football, where people can play basketball. Everybody that I know like 3 people that started that business. Everybody I know that started that business now, they're all making money. So if you come down to that micro level and you look at what they've done at that level, you see that the appetite is there. People are willing to pay. I remember I was talking to an entrepreneur in his business. He was allowing people to just come and use barefoot to play. Later on, I said, why don't you just tell them to pay? This was in Port Harcourt. Why don't you just tell them to pay 1,000 and offer them boots, 1,000 for each time you use the boots? He felt people won't have the money to pay, but surprisingly, the people that he felt didn't have the money to pay, we are even paying more, than that 1,000. At some point, he had to increase. So the profitability is there, the value proposition is there. We just need to come together with a unified voice and push a narrative, because government responds to noise. If you make noise that is directed at, as a strategic and directed properly, government will respond to it. In football, I think a lot of people have spoken about the problems. Yeah, there's corruption for sure, but if I'm to sum it up, in Nigeria, you have a situation where the government does not have enough money to independently fund sports. That's number one. Number two, the external funding they are getting from FIFA is now being swallowed by the corrupt entity. So the solution first has to come from policy changes, because one of the easiest ways to raise money is to change policy. If you change policy and set your policies in a way that will attract investors, when you change that policy, investors will come and things will begin to work.
Okay.
But you see, someone mentioned the billionaire that was doing Sporting Lagos and all, and Inter Miami and Inter Milan was the other team. So the problem with that, I respect that man a lot, but the king there is he's like a one-man army in a way. He's the only billionaire that is doing that. If 5 billionaires decided that, okay, in Nigeria, we want to carve out our lane in sports, we want to do something meaningful with sports, then they can form a strong lobbying group and then they can make changes. Now, in football, I understand that there's some issues with FIFA limiting the government's, government's control of NFF. But this is just my own view for the solution in terms of policy. We have to reduce the powers of NFF. We have to move Nigerian football to a stage where it favors privatization. If it does not favor privatization, private investments, if we're still trying to run this socialist government-run thing, the government does not have enough money, and the small money that the government has, they will steal it. So you need private people that want to come and run an operation to make profit to come in and run this business. The NFF, the Nigerian government right now, I know that this government is a private-friendly government. Let me just round up. I know that this government is a private-friendly government, but right now the government has to find a way to reduce the powers of NFF, to ensure that NFF should focus on the national team. Everything that has to do with the league should be privatized. No government entity should be allowed to own majority stake in a football club or a basketball club or whatever the case may be. So we need to move towards the privatized capitalist direction, because as much as football, as successful as football is, even basketball, it's capitalism that made this sport successfully globally. So if you want to make your own successful, you can't try to do it in a socialist way. You have to ensure that you are setting the table for private investors to come in and invest. That's the only way it can work. If you are waiting for the government and the small money that they're getting from FIFA to change, nothing will change. I assure you, nothing. It will keep getting worse. So that's just one point I have to drive. I want to drive home in this space. Thank you.
Appreciate the comments. We're going to privatize it, bring private capital in. Completely agree. Look at America. It's all private capital. I think I put a tweet about the college stadia.
Especially, yes. The American model is something we should look into.
So I saw, hold up, a Nigerian guy was tweeting that Americans, it doesn't see any adverts or any news about the World Cup in America. So I did a bit of research. See, the reason why you don't see Americans talking about the World Cup, that it doesn't move the economic needle in America at all. The World Cup is like maybe the Super Bowl. It's like a weekend for them. The total value add for the World Cup in America, it doesn't tilt their economic, it doesn't do anything for them. So it's not that they don't like soccer, but soccer is so small compared to, say, the NFL or even the hockey league is so small. So it's just an economics for them. They didn't build anything for the host the World Cup. It's just, okay, you're going to do it for 2 weeks and then you'll be done. That's how they look at it. They like it, but the economy is just so big that the World Cup, you put the World Cup in, it's just like the next series alone perhaps will generate more economic value in America. Next playing the Cavs than
exactly.
Yeah, it's just the economy is just too large. This is just college, yo. We're not talking about NFL. This is just college. College sports alone is bigger than the World Cup in America. College sports alone. Before you go to talk about, apart from soccer is very small in America. But for football, basketball, baseball, man, those guys are gone. Oh, AFC, real quick, without getting up, real quick. What's your mind? AFC Madrid, real quick.
Okay, so thank you very much. So I just want to reiterate again that the business of sports depends heavily on credibility. Just like you said now, Oga Kalu. I am in the United States, and I can tell you for a fact that there are places where you're going to tell them that the World Cup is going on right now, and they'll tell you that they're not even aware. It's not as if, like you said, it's just a pinch of out of what the country itself is handling. So yeah, this might be odd. I mean, this might also be a cost that we also need to take note of. Sponsors. I mean, when we're talking about sponsors, they invest where governance exists. And you see broadcasters, they invest where data exists. And investors, they always commit where predictability exists. I think these are the three things that we struggle to find in our country.
Yeah, but
our
let's
sponsors.
I know, but
we can't solve those problems.
Yes,
NFL
very quick.
Primarily controlling the league.
I want to get us to speak, but let us make this point, right? In America, right, when your child plays in primary school, secondary school, they get the parents to sponsor. They'll send you those flyers. Your kid is playing. You have to put your sticker on the stadium. If you're a plumber, you're an electrician, you're doing your small business, you are the one sponsoring the local volleyball or local whatever league, the parents. Then the parents will now tell the granddad, the grandmom. So when they're playing sports, who's going to watch? The parents. You know, it's not a question of just saying the government and sponsorship, but before they get to Coca-Cola sponsoring a tournament, the family of the athlete is sponsoring the team. You see them saying soccer moms. Soccer moms, how did it start? The soccer moms will buy those cars, move those kids from tournament to tournament. Have you seen a family in America that is trying to get their kid into professional sports? It's a job. You have to fly here, drive here, pay for this. They pay for cook. They pay for. So it's back to the family. It's not just the government. Poja has missed a few points. It's back to the family. If you want this thing to progress, we can't leave it for the government. We have to take charge of football or sports in Nigeria. We can't allow some guys that's going for election in September to become NFF chairman. Went for 3 cycles, 12 years. Nigeria's not going for the World Cup. 12 years. Crazy. Everything, what got to go real quick. I'm cycle the room. Others haven't spoken, right?
Okay, so just like
real quick. Yes, real quick.
Yeah, real quick. So just like you said just now, I mean, here in the United States, it's a full-time job for some parents. I mean, just getting your kiddos to just participate in sports. And unfortunately, when it comes to Nigerian sport administration, I mean, there's so many things that that are just characterized by the policy. I mean, how inconsistent our policies are. I mean, how transparent we are. I mean, we've had people that would be like, okay, is there a way we can?
Okay, I gotta move. Okay, so yeah,
is there a way we can build like a small club? Is there a way we can build like a small club there in Nigeria where we can be recruiting talents? But who exactly are we going to talk to? I mean, as part of our system, is it the NFF? Is it the Ministry of Sports? Or because I mean, when you go to them, the first thing they're going to ask you is, "Where do you carry come?" I'm bringing an investor, somebody that wants somebody.
AFC, we're going to rotate the room. Others want to speak, right? Let's do Obong Collins. Yeah, Obong Collins Udo. Collins, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. It's Collins, not Collins.
I do apologize. Sorry.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
First of all, to answer the last speaker who's talking about investment.
Yeah.
If you're coming to set up an academy, you don't need to talk to anybody. You just come in, set up your academy, and do what you need to do. As of this time, there is no regulation for academies, and I can tell you that for free because I've proposed it to them. I've talked about it numerous times about setting up a proper structure for academies in Nigeria, sitting down with the major academy owners, coming up with certain benchmarks for setting up academies, the ratio of coaches to players, all of that stuff. And because the reason why that is important is that if you look at our teams, or at least our players in Europe, about 90% of Nigerian players in Europe did not transfer from the NPFL, they transferred from academies to Europe. Even if you look at our Super Eagles team as currently constituted, apart from the players who were born in the diaspora, the ones who came through from Nigeria to Europe, the majority of them went from academies rather than, well, at least we transfer from academies rather than from NPFL club. As a matter of fact, so newest wonder kid, Johanna Zadok, transferred from an academy to AIK and has now made the biggest transfer to Brighton and Hove Albion. So anybody want to set up an academy at this time, come in, set up your academy, do what you need to do, and the ROI comes from transferring players to Europe. And that answers that. Like I said, I don't know. I think I misplaced my notes. There was a lot of things that have been spoken.
Yeah, a lot.
That I want to address.
Kalu, please, can I ask
No,
this kind of question about
Ben.
Can I just ask him? Let me just engage him.
Ben, hold up. We have he's here, and I wanted to just because we don't have. Colin, I mean, I don't know when you joined the space, right? But really, we're talking about when Nigeria is not here for this third World Cup. We're talking about the lack of infrastructure. Talking about the lack of, should we say, governance. Even the clubs in Nigeria, just the structure. I mean, what's your overall take about this sport? We're doing football because sport is large, but just for football, where are we? What are we doing wrong? What can we do better?
So I think the first, the foundational issue we have is that we're trying to separate sports in Nigeria from Nigeria itself. And when you start to do that, we're putting sports on a pedestal where the rest of the country is not. I mean, and I'll give you an example of what I mean. We talk about refinery, for instance. I was a third-year university student at University of Port Harcourt some 30-something years ago. And as part of our field trip, went to the Port Harcourt refinery as engineering students. We went to the Port Harcourt refinery on a field trip, and when we got there, we were told that maintenance work was being done on the Port Harcourt refinery. Back then, it was called LME Petrochemicals. They were doing this, they were doing that, and that within 1 year, the refinery was about to full capacity to serve Nigeria, and not just Nigeria, even neighboring African countries, and so on and so forth. We're 30 years down the line. I'm an old man now. I have kids. I might be a grandfather soon. And the Port Harcourt refinery is still where it was. Nothing has changed. Same thing with all the others. So when we try to separate sports from the terrible reality that Nigeria is, I guess we're wishing pigs will fly, to be honest. Having said that, there are things that we can do, and Puja has made a lot of good points about the situation that is going on within. Not to flog a dead horse, but we're in a position where the major issue with our sports is government involvement. Because there's government involvement, there is a lack of accountability. And that lack of accountability just recycles the whole bad situation over and over and over again. Where I disagree with Puja is when you say the NPFL has no value. I think that's what you said. The NPFL, it does have value. What it does is it doesn't have is actually people with the capacity to unlock that value. And I'll tell you why. I've been involved at both micro and macro levels with sports in Nigeria. I spent 8 years as a member of the NFF marketing committee. I spent 4 years on the board of working on the board of more than 4 years, I think, of Sharks and Dolphins, working directly with the Commissioner of Sports. And I'm also involved in the setting up of Sporting Lagos with Shola. And so I've got tribal knowledge of sports at a very micro level in Nigeria and also going up to a macro level. And over a lot of everything that everybody has said here, there's no will here to reinvent. Almost everything that has been said here has either been proposed or at least people have tried to implement it. The issue is that you have folks within this system who sort of benefit from the chaos that goes on, and so they are unwilling to let go of the system as it currently is. And what they fail to understand, which some of us have tried to, knock into their heads over and over again, is that 0% of 100 million is still 0%. But 1% of 100 million is at least 10 million.
At least.
So what they are doing is that they believe in all of these little leakages here and there that they can benefit from without looking at the big picture of, how they can benefit legally, appropriately from a sports industry, culture, and business that generates income and generates revenue for everybody. And it's not just Nigeria. England were in the same position when the Dean and co wanted to start the English Premier League. Back then, English football was terrible. It was an eyesore. They played on muddy pitches. And then they had that 89 Hebrew disaster in 89 that sort of brought the whole house crashing down. And David Dean and he called them his band of, I think I've forgotten what name he called them, were soccer rigs together when he was. But he said they were working in secret. A few of them were working in secret for months and months and months, meeting at night, just trying to introduce the idea of the Premier League. Football people, both administrators and players and even ex-players, thought that they were trying to take football away from them and they resisted them. So it was only until they had got everything together that they finally made their plans public. And it's the same thing with Nigeria. A few years ago, Nduka Irabo was chairman of the league. Shehu Diko was his vice chairman. And there was a meeting where they sat down with the stock exchange, came up with an idea to privatize these clubs, let the government hand over so that the club can be privatized, and then they can be run as proper business enterprises with profit generation, so that whatever you put in, at least, even if you don't break even, you know that you have, so even if you don't make profit, you can either bring or at least minimize your losses, But what happened? People who run the clubs, after they had this meeting, sat down with the governors and had some sort of, agreements in principle, people who had the ears of the governors went to whisper things to them, and the governors reneged on all of those agreements in principle. So we go back to square one. A lot of these things can be resolved by simply saying, hey, look, you know what, let's leave the professionals run, and then let the schools, run things the way they should. I'm happy to sit and answer a lot of questions because, like I said, I have a lot of private knowledge on this, and I miss a lot of this stuff that you guys talked about. I'm taking it on a point by point basis. But let me give you a quick example. When I was appointed into the NFF marketing committee in 2014, after Michael Penny became NFF president, I had a chance to look at all the documents from the sponsorship document. And I could not believe some of the things I saw. For instance, there was a sponsor who was paying 1 million naira in a year as sponsorship fee to the NFF. 1 million naira. Even I could pay that money at that time. 1 million naira that the sponsor was supposed to pay. Then the biggest sponsor at the time, I don't know, I think was paying about 150 million. Across 11 national teams. That was sponsor. Yeah, that's public knowledge. Which other one again? I'm trying to think of.
Okay, so Colin, what most people are saying, because most of us that are civilians in this field are asking, so what's the alternative now? How can we put pressure? Because if a bank was charging money through ATM fees, Nigerians know what to do. They will go online, they will talk. There's CBN, there are regulators. Who do we report NFF to? It's almost as if NFF is a realm, a kingdom on its own with no one can talk to them. They can collect 1 million, they can spend whatever they like, and no one can do anything because of FIFA. Is that what I'm hearing, really?
No, look, FIFA doesn't, what FIFA does, and I think a lot of people misunderstand that interference clause in the FIFA statutes. Now, that statute is good, and I'm going to be honest with you and say I agree with that statute, because if it wasn't for it, there would be no stability in most federations, especially in Africa. The reason why that clause is there in FIFA statute is that they want to be sure that when the Congress elects an exco, it's only the Congress that can remove them. Not some, today you appoint one minister, today he doesn't like the face of whoever was appointed, takes him out and brings his friend. And then when he's removed, the next one comes along, okay, you're that guy is a friend, or good, I'm going to bring somebody else and put in there. So it keeps a certain level of stability within the federation. Of course, it has its own flaws. It has its flaws, but that's good. Now, when you talk about who should they be reported to, at the end of the day, it is the government that actually has oversight over all sporting federations. And the way the government leverages that supervisory role over the federations is funding. We saw it happen with England when the government in England wanted a change in the way the FAs, I think the way they did some of their structures, and the FA tried to resist. And the minister was put at the time and said, okay, that's fine. You're either going to do the reforms that we want, or we're going to withhold the funding that you get from the government.
Yeah.
And end of the day, what happened? The FA did what the government wanted. So it's the same thing with Nigeria. If you look at the funding that all the sporting federations, government funds the majority of everything, either directly through the budget or through intervention funds as during special circumstances, like tournaments and all of that. Now, if the government wants something to happen within the NFF or any sporting federation, it's simple. You simply tell them, okay, look, we want this to be implemented. If you don't implement it, fine, but you're not getting any couple from us again. Whether you want to go for a tournament or whatever it is, you're on your own. You can go and borrow money, you can use your own money, you can do, but you're not getting jacked from us. When the government does that, they will sit up, they will do what needs to be done. That is a simple way of doing this thing.
So
but
the government doesn't know this, because what we're hearing is just that these guys are just running roughshod over the country. If you fail to qualify for 3 seasons, doesn't the government feel the urgency that Nigerian youths like soccer? What we did on the AFC, the whole Nigeria was kind of united. So don't they see that this is not just the economics, but the branding, the nationality, the coming together? Don't they see what we're seeing? That we're even having a space to talk about this. I'm just worried, Colin. I hear you. Let me get. I've got lots of your folks here. Let's take Dr. Trudy and all that.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? The government. I think somebody mentioned that you must make noise and put pressure on the government. But here's the thing: you can talk a lot of all of this stuff that you want to talk about, but end of the day, you're not the one sitting down there in the briefing room when the president is asking questions and briefing him. You have people who are there who present, this is what happened, that's what happened. That's what the government is going to listen to, Again, we're in an election year where the government's focus is on the elections next year.
Yeah.
These are election cycles. So sports is way down the priority list for them at this time in terms of what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So I think that ultimately, it's going to be a ground. So the one thing I've known about Nigerian sports is that it almost seems to act. There has to be like something like a catalyst. Back in the old days, we had a lot of all these clubs in our MPFL were probably owned Raka Rovers, Enugu Rangers, JIB Rocks. They were all Eagle Cement and Co. They were all owned and run privately. And then after a while, they got sort of like absorbed into government ownership. So the good thing I'm seeing now is that we have the likes of Ikorodu United, we have Remo Stars, Sporting Lagos, and so on coming in. Now, it's going to be hard to convince millionaires and billionaires to come and invest in our football economy if they are not seeing progress. And like I told part of the call, and I've said this over and over again, when Sporting Lagos was about to start, I had the initial conversations with Shola where we spoke, and I told him that, look, the advice I would give you, do not waste your money on the MPFL because it's going to be a black hole. What I would advise you to do is set up an academy, because by the time you have an academy, you transfer, even if it's one player a year that goes to Europe, you more than make up the investment you put in the academy. We went back and forth and came to a compromise to have both the club and the academy, because he really wanted to have the club. And if you look at what's going on now, it's exactly the same thing. The players from the academy leaving to Europe are helping to fund the football club. So billionaires need to have a certain amount of ROI to say, look, This is what we do. And on a final note, I'll say something I've always said in our close spaces, and Puja will probably remember. I said, look, we need a new set of fans in Nigerian football. The demographics is not working. The current people who go to the stadiums, they don't pay gate fee. They want you to pay for them. They won't buy merchandise. They want you to give them merchandise for free. So they don't bring any value to the economy of football, the league football in Nigeria. So we need to move away from this set of fans and bring in a new set of fans who can pay, even if it's 500, 1,000 naira a game, and then they are able to afford merchandise. And we have them already to afford merchandise for these things. To run a football club in Nigeria, a professional football club, costs at least a minimum, as of the last count that I worked it out, 400 million naira a season. Now, multiply that by 20 clubs. You know, you're talking, and let's go to 500 million. You're talking about at least $1 billion, 2 billion naira just in running the club alone. Now, there are other opportunities for making revenues, commercializing these opportunities to make money from, and it's not being taken advantage. That's why I said I disagree with Puja when he said no, but there is value, it's just not being exploited. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I mean, if these guys can buy Arsenal jerseys, they can buy local jerseys, but it's just something that maybe local jerseys don't give them that same thing with Arsenal. Great point, Colin. I mean, thanks for giving us. Let's get two guys to speak, and then we'll sort of start to wind the space down. I've got Dr. Chudi and Dan Ogbeni Boye. Let's start with Dr. Chudi. We'll do Ogbeni Boye, and then we'll sort of start to wind the space. I think we've gotten the idea and the feel of what's going on in Nigerian sport. We can't do it in 3 hours, guys. When we hear nearly 3 hours, it's just not possible. A lot is going wrong. And I hope the space is just going to give us more information to then start to ask those questions. I think for me, that September election has got to be very, very key. If you're not interested before, put pressure. Like Constance said, it's an election year. Whatever they see people are interested in, that's what the government puts their eye on. If the president has to see that people are asking questions about the World Cup, he's going to say, who is the guy in charge? He wants to get people to be happy. So he's going to say, okay, let's put a few guys here so that the masses will be happy. So I think it's a good idea to put some pressure out there and to start to ask questions and say, why are we not going for the World Cup? Why is our league not commercial? Why don't we have something like what they have even in Egypt? And I think that's going to be a good way to start. Dr. Chidi, you've got the floor. Then we'll do Ogbeni Boye.
Kalu, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I was really happy to see Colin. I've known Colin for a long time. Colin is the perfect person to talk to about it because he has a lot of experience. And he actually mentioned something I was going to say when I initially was trying to speak. He said that you cannot separate sports in Nigeria from the governing experience in Nigeria. And I think no matter what we're thinking, that's the fundamental question we have. In Nigeria, nothing works. The roads don't work, the lights don't work, the economy doesn't work, the security doesn't work. Well, how are we expecting sports to work? So I think that's the biggest issue we have. Nothing is going to work. You can bring the best administrators from everywhere, and if you put them in that situation, in that Nigerian environment, it's going to break down. And I think that's the biggest issue we have. I think that's different from the national team. So the qualifying for the World Cup is a little different because like in this our team right now, if we had the current coach at the beginning of the World Cup qualifiers, I believe we would have qualified. But obviously the whole incompetence, not appointing the right person at the right time. Now, I give them credit for eventually finding the right person. And when the coach was appointed, I was skeptical because I didn't know who he was. But whoever made that decision made the right decision because I think they appointed the right coach. But it took a long time, so they did the right thing at the wrong time. But that's beside the point of this whole conversation. Because here in the US, I think a few people have mentioned it, right? Most of the stadiums they're using for this World Cup are private stadiums. Actually, pretty much all of them, right? So there's none of that was paid for by the government. But the society works. The system works. Everything works. Sports, I think somebody said that soccer is less than baseball. I don't know if you've seen the ratings for this World Cup. I mean, this World Cup, I think they're almost up to 50 million viewers. That's more than the NBA finals right now. So soccer, there's a big, but the thing is, you have to market it properly, right? The issue we have in Nigeria is just nothing works. Like Colin just said, if you're going to pay 400 million naira every season, in a year, that's 800 million naira. So how are you going to get the money back? You're going to do sponsorship. Somebody is going to be taking that money from the bottom. Okay, if you're going to get a sponsor, somebody is collecting their own share. With the NFF, the government is going to give the money. If the government is giving the money, somebody is taking a share of the top. So I think that's the biggest issue we have in Nigeria, the corruption. It doesn't matter how well you do. It doesn't matter how good a person is. Once you get into that system,
So we're back
everything breaks down.
We're back to that familiar stone that pulls us down into the depths of the black morass that we cannot see. All right.
Exactly.
I mean, again, just to quickly before go to Ogbeni, I mean, baseball and soccer. I mean, it's just the amount of money involved. You know, again, it's number one in America is of course the football. They are talking.
No, but I think you're confusing the World Cup with soccer.
No,
if you're talking about the MLS.
Yeah, MLS.
With the World Cup right now, the revenue they're going to generate from this World Cup is going to probably be more than you get from the Super Bowl.
At all. The Super Bowl is just one event, one day, right? Just one day. But if you look at the value add to America from the Super Bowl, like the playoffs, the sponsorships, an ad costs $7 million a second. If you look at all that combined, the World Cup doesn't come close. World Cup, you're looking about for 4. Yeah, if you look at the economics of it, just the hotels, the amount of money, the revenues that just that one day, not in that one day, but what it adds to the U.S. economy. I mean, the U.S. is hosting the Knicks. The Knicks. What's her name? The lady that does oh my God. When she goes to a town, she's generating as much fans. I forgot the name that's married to the football player, Taylor Swift. There's a Taylor Swift economy in America. When she goes to your town, the rents, the feeding, the accommodation, the advertisements in that town shoots up the roof. That's almost the same as the World Cup is doing. So it's not just the 100,000 people. University of Ohio, 100,000 fans going to watch a college game. 100,000 fans watching one college game. They have to stay somewhere. They got to eat. They got to fly in. These are Americans with credit cards. So it's just the volume of commerce around sports in America is just massive. That if you're not coming with billions, it's not going to register that much. But I get your point, sir. Let's do Ogbeni, then we'll do Eric, and then we'll just call today. Ogbeni, how are you doing, sir? Please, thanks for having us for us.
Good evening. Please, can we all hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
All right. It's been a very insightful space. There's been a lot that's been talked about. Mr. Colin, I'd like to just say the Sporting Lagos you consulted for the other day. I'm a proud member of that setup. Currently work as the talent manager at Sporting Lagos, and it's been about 5 years now, and we've been doing the business, and a lot has happened, just as you've mentioned. Just to go into everything you've spoken about, it's a very huge pool when you talk about sports in Nigeria. I'm glad Puja is also a director of a club here in Nigeria, which is Ikorodu City, not Ikorodu United, by the way, and he understands what it means. When you mentioned the 400 million running costs, it is just even about the league at that point. When we look at the academy and all of the things that we have to process in an economy that gives you little or no, credits, and you have to, do a lot, as a private owner. As you mentioned, the academy business is a whole, different business when it comes to, in Nigeria here. See a lot of people, quite a number of people able to move players abroad, and make cool cash from that. But people only see those success stories. We don't talk about all of the other things that goes on behind the scene. We are seeing one Zadok now. We are not talking about about how many other boys that are in the academy that you are trying to push in a place where data is a major problem. Now, going to data, which is one of our biggest problems also here, because without data, how are you convincing sponsors? How are you telling people that this is a place to actually put your money? We've had multiple. I worked with a data company, a sports data company, before I joined Sports in Lagos, and we pushed some things, and it was not just about the data company. A lot of so when we are talking about the solutions, just like Mr. Colin mentioned, a lot of people come up with innovations year in, year out. When you look at the Premier League, you look at away from the Premier League, other leagues, in the world, TV rights, broadcasting is one of the ways you can, at least rack in a few millions and, keep the league sustaining and running. But even here in the MPFL, that has been fluffed a couple times. We've fumbled that a lot of times, and it begs the question: who are the people in charge, and what are they looking at? So, looking at a Sporting Lagos, for example, looking at an Ikorodu City, I'm seeing staffs from Remo Stars over here also. I think is one of the ways to go. The private one of the ways to go. A Remo Stars was able to, build through Kunle Shoname, get their own stadium, a almost world-class facility here in Nigeria, did that by himself as a private investor. And now the national teams use that particular facility most times when they have a major competition they are preparing for, apart from the Super Eagles. The Falcons played Senegal there just weeks ago. The under-17 national team trains there. The under-20 national teams train there. Pooja mentioned the Mohammed VI facility. That is the type of things that the government should be doing. But it's so sad that in our economy and our society, private individuals are able to build multi-billion facilities that the government have not been able to hack. Sporting Lagos were building our own stadium before the landmark thing happened. It was not the biggest of stadiums. But we can now imagine 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 private individuals like that doing things like that. But the fact remains that it is not an easy route. It is not as easy as it sounds. I know how much we have to do to be able to market one player before we can even sell to the top of the league. So we are not getting TV rights and broadcasting rights. We're not getting data right. We're not getting a lot of things right. If you check on Y Scouts, on Eyeball, which are one of the Instat and all of that, which are the biggest data platforms, you see every club in England. I mean, just like as you said, Mr. Kalu, in the US, in England, from Division 1, Y Scout has data up onto the Eastman Leagues, which is about the 7th, 8th tier in England. But yeah, even the first tier, only some of these private clubs can boast of actual data, can be able to, say, and the problem is very simple. Who are the people running the clubs? In a government club, it's about appointments. It is seen as a CSR. They don't really care what happens. The governor is doing something. It's a CSR. It's giving money to somebody. Somebody's just, running things. But our private clubs, for example, at Sporting Lagos, you have something.
Just a quick one. So in effect, what I hear you just summarize that if you don't have money, you can't do sports in Nigeria. That's a correct statement, right? If you don't have money as an entrepreneur, you really can't. You shouldn't really be into this sports in Nigeria. Yeah.
Of course. Let me answer that. Let me answer that question. If you don't have money anywhere, you can't be into sports. Look at the NFL in the US. It's owned by billionaires. The NBA,
across the board,
or venture capitalists. So you can't. But the thing is, and that's why it's so sad for us that this is 2026 and government is still running sports in Nigeria. We all know the inefficiencies of government worldwide, not just in Nigeria. Worldwide, government agencies are not the most efficient. And when it comes to Nigeria, inefficiency is the middle name of government, whether it's the civil service or anything else. All the major parastatals run by government, NITEL, NEPA, name it, they've all been run aground, and the few that got revived were revived when they were now privatized. So we need to come to the point where we can all accept that, government does not need to be involved in sports anymore.
Yeah.
We need to just hands off and allow private individuals to run it. I was going to mention something that Benny mentioned about the Sporting Lagos Stadium. That stadium, again, the other reason for that stadium being built was that when we started Sporting Lagos, we were having trouble scheduling games because it's either, the government has this event to do here, or you can't have Testing Balogun for today, you can have Onikon, or you can't have Onikon now. So, and that decision was made to say, look, you know what, let's have our own. And the other reason was that if you look at every single stadium in Nigeria, only two stadiums in Nigeria, Uyo Stadium and Abuja Stadium, have the capacity for VIP lounge, proper VIP lounges. You know, the rest are just the so-called VIP lounge in quotes. It's just for government officials to come and sit down and do and segregate themselves from the rest of the population. You know, so the part of the idea behind having that stadium for Sporting Lagos was, one, to have executive lounges where corporate partners can come and have enjoy the experience of, you know, not just watching the football game, but just enjoying being out there. So it included not just those lounges, but restaurants, different other activities, so that you're not just going there for the game, you're going there for the full 360 experience. So until we begin to think in that way and have that, it's going to be difficult.
Well said.
Yeah,
well said. I mean, you the team experience. You go, you buy the merchandise, you eat the food, you cheer your team. Everybody makes money. You go home happy. I mean, Arsenal is making more money in Nigeria. Nigerian soccer teams in Nigeria. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Yeah.
So the amount of money that Dangote wanted to invest in buying Arsenal would have been 10 times more than enough to buy up the entire MPFL and reinvent it. And that's another issue where I take issue with the billionaires in Nigeria. And I think that it's probably time for them, you know, to come together and say, hey, look, you know what, let's revive this thing. Because here's the thing. Part of the problem we have is that we're doing a bottoms-up approach, and it's not going to work. If we have 5 billionaires, Elumelu, Dangote, and they can't make the person and say, look, you know what, I think it's time for us to revive sports, just like the way the telecoms was revived and so on. So give us this franchise, let's run it. Each of them can come up and say, hey, look, you know what, let's put, just like an accelerator, startup accelerator, or and say, look, let's redo this, get this guy out and start a new, they would definitely get it done. You know, but I don't think they are motivated enough to want to go in that direction. Until they are ready and willing to do it, we will still remain in this quagmire that we find ourselves in.
I can imagine if Dangote and Elumelu are running an NFL team. I just can't imagine what happened. Poja, do you have any comments? Any project?
Okay, quick one. I think that's my Oga. You know, Oga Colin, you know, has spoken a lot, and I think, unfortunately, someone like him, who has been in the system, should be back into the system. But unfortunately, because of what is going on at the NFF now, is actually in America, and you know, this is the kind of people that we want in our football. Someone that is, you know, was inside the system, knew the problem, and he was pushed out, and you know, to come in now. So to even submit a proposal to the NFF is a problem. They don't even know what is going on. So, and like I said, we need a revolution because, like I said, we are sitting on time bomb. This same NFF could be the next NFF that will spend another 4 years. Now imagine what these last 4 years have done to our football. We failed to qualify for the World Cup. We failed to qualify for back-to-back under-17. We failed to qualify for under-20 AFCON. We have one of the worst league in Africa. So if these guys come back, you know, they come back to our football, they are going to reappoint their friends, and we continue this rot again and again for another 4 years. So approximately that means we'll be wasting 8 years of our football. Because there's no way we can push these guys off. That's what I'm saying. We need revolution. We need a big interference in this football. I don't care if you are going to ban, if you are going to ban us, but we need to fix this football. Because like I said, if football is good, it will trickle down to other sports. Because like I said, when these new national sports guys got into power, they were faction in basketball, they were faction in wrestling, the Athletic Federation was in shambles. So how can we have these people that can come back and spend another 4-year term? It's going to be a problem. And, my guy said it all. We need something drastic to happen to our sports in Nigeria.
Completely agree with all the sentiments made, and that's why we are holding the space. I mean, till somebody does it, then people see the money. That's Nigerians like to do follow. To when someone comes in and there's money now, he makes $1 billion exporting, and everyone's going to rush into it. Let's go home with Mr. Tao. Mr. Eric, I know you've been hanging out patiently. You've heard a lot of the experts talk around this. What's your take? Take us home, Eric, real quick, and then we'll just call the day. Allow my August to go home and enjoy their Sundays.
Thank you very much, Kalu. Great space. I've heard everyone speak, and there's been a lot of back and forth on the problems and the solves. But I think where I'm going to come from, just to take it on, is the food science angle in terms of where Nigeria is now. So I did a bit of research before doing the space, just to look at before the EPL was founded.
Yeah.
The consumption of meat and milk in Britain.
Oh.
So it wasn't until the British people started eating meat up by 55% before the EFL was founded. Meat consumption had to go up by 320%. The people selling refrigeration for fridges, before the league was founded, there were only 600. By the time the league was founded, there were about 2,000. So just looking at the way, and all this was necessary for a healthy population that could support player production and attendance. So the way I see, there was a lot of conversation last year in Nigeria about, I don't know if you heard about something about fake milk or something about a lesser and adulterated version of milk Nigerians are now drinking. I'm not very current on that. But I think our Ministry of Health and Ministry of Food, they play just as much as an important role right now where we are, where the country is, to the development of the sports industry as the people investing in stadiums and people investing in. But I have a family friend right now. He's playing in the World Cup. He's playing for Canada. And he told me he grew up in Abuja. We grew up together. He schooled in Abuja. It wasn't until he was 10 years, I think 12 years old, he came to Canada and then started playing. He told me I spoke to his parents, and he said, well, back then, the food situation, you wouldn't notice a difference if you were a Nigerian or if you were a Canadian or if you were, food was good. So by the time they got to Canada, he was able to sort of just continue from where he was. Now, this was 2009. I don't know how food situation has changed between 2009 and now.
It's worse.
But if we can say that it's worse, then he told me right now in the Canadian Football Association, depending on where you are from, if you have West African origins or maybe Middle Eastern, they advise you on what you should eat and what you should not eat if you are visiting your home country or if you are going to those regions. They'll tell you specifically, as a player, don't eat this, don't eat that. Maybe if it's milk, I guess milk now must have been included since the events of last year. So he told me, they are not advised to take milk in Nigeria. So like they're going to play a game in the next month or 2 months, just avoid drinking milk from West Africa. And there's questions like this that, the important questions, things like the president, things like people, the stakeholders, but is anybody looking at the health side of it? Because I think if we do not get the food and health before the major problems, I don't think we're going to go anywhere. The people who are going to come to the Nigerian, I think it was Jack that was talking about our personal domestic leagues. This is the people who live in Enugu that are going to come to watch games in Enugu. If the milk and meat is not good, the price of meat in England went down by 40% before they could even form an ESL. Like, I understand that technology and the way globalization has gone, a lot of processes that we needed to have taken have been jumped. So we don't have pharmaceutical industries that created aspirin and cod liver oil.
I think, Eric, I think you bring a new dimension to. I think your points are noted. It's not just the playing on the pitch that matters. You are bringing in the fact that, listen, there are other things that the nation has got to worry about. Like we said, if you can't feed kids, they can't play any sports. If you don't have medical services, you can't play any sports. Like with Colin has said, we can't remove sports from Nigeria. If we don't have green areas where kids can go and tie rubber and play, and how we used to do it, monkey post and all that, all the green spaces being built, luxury estates now, where do the kids play? If we don't have those good stories, because kids learn by imitation, what's going to happen? I say it's a good point to bring up. I didn't know that causation part about food and EFL. It's good you're bringing it up, because the kids are eating Indomie today. Well, a standard kid in Nigeria eats Indomie. I don't know how you build that muscle and grit with Indomie. Colin, you want to take us home? I mean, that was a good one by Eric, I would say.
Yeah, I do actually. And I think just to address that, yes, the food issue is important. But let's not also forget that a lot of the food abroad, like Pooja said, I live here in the US, and I remember when somebody was saying about soccer. I'm a soccer dad. In fact, this weekend, my daughter's high school was playing in their state tournament, and we drove 4 hours, paid hotel. So first of all, we drove 4 hours to go to the venue of the state tournament. Paid for hotel for 2 nights. Each night was about, they gave us a discount for the hotel. It was about $195 per night for the hotel. Then there was meals and other stuff, and then we had to pay for some certain things for them and so on and so forth. And then, of course, gas and stuff. But that's just the high school game. The tournament, every year you pay for per year, the fee is $2,500 a year. And then you have to buy kits, the jerseys, the bags, the cleats. My daughter goes to like 3 sets of kits because she's growing and her feet are big. So like 3 sets of football boots a season, and each one's about $300 each, for her. So, and then there's hotel bills every time we travel for game, and so you have to pay hotel bills and so on and so forth. This tournament almost every weekend. So there's a lot of money involved in all of that. But that's what I want to close out with here is it was that we keep talking about government, but you see, we are also an issue, not just the government. Now, we used to have Youth Fund tournament. Our first under-17 World Cup win, those players were selected from Youth Fund. We used to have the Principals Cup, where the Principals Cup used to feed into Youth Fund, and then Youth Fund was now fed into the national teams. Recently, there was talk, about 10 years ago, so there was talk to revive that Youth Fund, the Principals Cup competition and all of that. The problem was that the Ministry of Education in the States and the Ministry of Sports were fighting. They could not agree. So one said, I own it. I own because they are students. The other one said, it's sports, so I own it. And they couldn't come together. So let's collaborate together and get this thing running. The same thing with Nuga, with the higher institutional football league. My friend who used to be at one of these companies was the lead in this higher institutional football league. And they had so many problems, both with the schools and the sports. So it's not just an issue at the top, it's also issues at the bottom. We as Nigerians, we need to fix up from an individual level before we even start talking about those who are at the very top. And that's where I'm going to sort of kind of land this plane, which is that we all have to look inward and ask ourselves, what are we doing to make these things better? Pooja mentioned it, that I was with the NFL for a while. And a lot of people sometimes take you to tell you were there. I did a lot of work, and I'll give you an example of it. The NFL signed contracts with sponsors. You have ITU, you have Coca-Cola, and so on and so forth. But at the beginning of the year, you're supposed to send in at least your calendar of events for that year so that your partners and sponsors know exactly what they are going to do when they are going to do it. That did not happen. That would not happen. I had to take it on myself. At the beginning of every year, I would sit down, I will start asking everybody, where are we going? Are we playing friendly here? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? And then I put all of that together and distribute. So I made myself almost like I was on the committee, like every other person. I didn't have to do it. But instead, I kind of turned myself into a marketing liaison for it because I wanted to make sure the sponsors had value for what they are paying for. And the guys at Coca-Cola team tomorrow still reach out to me and say, look, thank you for what you did for us, because I would send them those calendars, I would let them know, and then I would now work out, for instance, sometimes the team will complain that they don't have water, so they'll go and buy water, bottled water from a rival company. Coke would see it and freak out. And I would have to now beg him, please take off the label. In fact, the team manager keeps calling me take out the label because I said take out the label so that nobody sees that it's a rival company. So that was where this thing started from. And I've made sure that before the team even comes to camp, I get an idea of how many players and officials and co were going to come, how many days they're going to be in camp, how many pots of water per head each person would require, and then send that inventory to Coke so that they could now make all those things available. And then I would personally monitor the trucks to make sure they got to the hotel. In fact, there was one time they got to a coach, and the coach said we must pay corkage for the water that was being brought in before, and that corkage came in the form of for every 10, if we brought in 10 parts of water, they would take 3 out of that was their corkage that they were taking. So these are the little things behind the scenes, and this is just an example of the stuff that I was forced to do. That was not my job, but I had to do because for me, it was a case of, let it not be that it's this thing, there's a scandal while I'm here, and then my name now becomes associated with this scandal. So I was now becoming a liaison, an unpaid liaison for the NFF, managing sponsors and partners. So let's just say that we all have a duty and responsibility to do what we can to help this move forward.
Thank you so much for that. I mean, that's just background information that we never would know unless you tell that to us. And just tells you the way we all have to be individually committed. From the family level, from the local level, state, let's leave federal. We just have to get involved. And Poja is sounding the alarm. September, there's an election coming up. We just can't throw our hands in the air and say, oh, we can't do anything. I think if we make an effort towards ensuring that the right people get there. The right people have got to be there before you can ask for good policies to then transit down. So, I mean, I'm going to be tweeting about this. I don't know what my tweet to do, but I think you should also do that as well. Let's at least get attention on that. I know how politicians move in Nigeria. Once they see people are interested in something, they also go there. So let's put our minds there. I want to thank everyone that has come to this space today. It's not our usual kind of space. We're usually talking money, the economy, and personal finance. Today, we're talking about the business of football, i.e. sports. We just chose football because that alone is an animal in itself. And I also want to thank Poja, thank Collins, Dr. Albany, everyone that has commented. A lot of content and so should I say subject experts have come to the space to educate us civilians about what's going on. I think I'm richly enlightened about what's happening here, and we can only hope for the better. We didn't even touch clubs in Nigeria that much. We didn't even touch infrastructure. I had a picture up of the Abuja Stadium and the Lagos Stadium. It's a mess. I don't know how a nation can allow the national stadium turn to what it is. Abuja is down, Lagos is down. We're now using the one in Uyo and a private one. Doesn't speak well of us, guys. So, I mean, just thanks all for coming in. And I hope you guys have learned something. And the whole idea of our space is advocacy. We give you the information for you to then go advocate. So I hope you got some information today that you can go be an advocate in little cycle, and that little cycle can then advocate up to the local, state, and of course to the federal. On that note, guys, let me let you guys go enjoy the World Cup. We'll be back here next week on that topic. Poja, again, thank you so much for agreeing to do this and for bringing all your folks here. I appreciate you for that. You guys have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you guys next time we do call. Have a good one, and bye.